Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
And welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show, Thursday edition. Lots to get to today on a day when the President of the United States makes a major national security address and covers a lot of topics, and really not a lot of it is surprising. Joining us now is our friend, the former ambassador to the United Nations, John Bolton. Mr. Ambassador, welcome as always, sir.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me. Glad to be with you.
Well, thank you. All right, let's talk about this notion of closing Guantanamo Bay, something that, from day one, the president has, even before he was elected, he promised to do that very early on in her first term. Never got the chance to do it because of Congress and other issues. Releasing almost half or so of the prisoners that are there to other countries like Yemen. What's wrong with that picture? What's wrong with that scenario?
Well, several things. First, I think it shows that in 4.5 years, the president has learned absolutely nothing about the threat of international terrorism. It was a mistake in the 2008 campaign to say he wanted to close Guantanamo Bay. It's a mistake to say that by doing so we will eliminate an al-Qaeda recruiting point. Look, the Gitmo is an excuse for al-Qaeda. It's not the reason. If Gitmo did close, they'd find another recruiting tool. The facility was set up because there was no place else to put those people, and that remains true today. The notion that you let them go simply means that at least a third will return to the battlefield against us, and probably much more than that. We say a third of those released have been recidivist, but those are the ones we know about. Many of these released prisoners, we have no idea where they are, and quite likely they're back waging terrorism against us. And finally, the idea that Yemen is a place you can send terrorists just boggles the mind. The government is in a state of near collapse. Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula is all over the country. You've got Iran operating with tribes that are friendly to it, trying to destabilize friendly regimes on the peninsula. This is a tribute to the administration's ideology and to its continued willful blindness to the threat of international terrorism.
Right, and I am led to believe from reports that I've heard throughout the course of the last few days, especially in anticipation of this speech, that the prisoners who remain there are some of the worst of the worst. If the recidivism rate is about 30 or 29%, like you said, that we know of for the ones that we've released, there appears to be a much greater chance that some of these hardcore, worse, if you will, terrorists might even, turn around at a higher rate.
No, almost certainly. In the administration's first year, it really did embark on a very vigorous campaign to try and release as many people as it could. And the ones that did get out were the least objectionable. And I think many governments said, we don't want those people back. This is part of the hypocrisy of international diplomacy. We are criticized for Gitmo by some of the same countries that say, we're not taking those people back.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now let's talk about this notion that the war on terror is not going to be a permanent thing, that it's not a perpetual war, that one day al-Qaeda will be done away with. It might be 10, 20 years. We're not ready. We're not there yet. But this notion, this philosophy, I mean, look, we saw the beheading in London yesterday, which I do want to ask you about as well, and we saw the bombings in Boston, and we know what's going on. But this notion that if we, and it's always been this way with President Obama, it's al-Qaeda, and if we get rid of al-Qaeda, then the problem of terrorism goes away, completely ignoring the religious philosophy that accounts for, the lone wolves, the people who swear allegiance, the people who think they're going to paradise, all of that.
Yeah, no, it's a question of defining the problem into insignificance and then declaring that the problem is over, and that's been going on for quite some time, and continues even though the September 11 attack and murder of 4 Americans at Benghazi, along with the Boston Marathon bombing, along with the attack in London, all show that it's contrary to fact. But the fundamental problem, the root cause of the administration's policy here is the notion that terrorism is simply a violation of criminal law. It's like a bank robbery, or maybe a little bit worse, but it's basically something that our domestic criminal law system can handle, and they do not view it as a war on terrorism, or more appropriately put, the terrorist war against us. That's the philosophy, the law enforcement philosophy we followed in the 1990s with the first bombing of the World Trade Center, the attack on Khobar Towers, the attacks on our embassies in Kenya and Tanzania, the attack on the USS Cole in Yemen, and many other instances, and that brought us to the first 9/11 because the terrorists and their supporters could see we weren't really serious about defending ourselves. And I think it ties in with reports leaked conveniently by the administration that actually
you didn't say leak, did you? We might have to criminally investigate another reporter or something.
Right. Well, that's only leaks that are detrimental to the administration's image. This leak showed that the administration was vigorously pursuing the attackers at the Benghazi consulate. We'd identified 18 of them, but we weren't going to do anything about them because we didn't have enough evidence in a U.S. due process-style criminal prosecution to convict them beyond a reasonable doubt. That is, you tie that into closing Gitmo over a period of time. It's a statement that we're going to put all these people into federal court and act like they're just guys second-story men who pulled off a burglary. I think this is a conscious decision that will leave America more vulnerable, and I think the American people will see that. Unfortunately, it may take more tragedies to bring the point home.
We're talking to Ambassador John Bolton here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Before we continue here with the drone strikes and all, I do want to talk about the report that came out the other day that talked about the fact that we know exactly who did Benghazi. We know exactly where the mastermind is. We know exactly where he lives. We may have lost 1 or 2 of the perpetrators by now because it's been going on for so long. But the people on the ground there, talking to Fox News, unidentified, said that there's been no willingness to go get them, to arrest them, to kill them, to bring them to justice. None whatsoever. And all the time we're hearing from this president and this White House and this administration that we will bring them to justice. Don't you worry. We'll find out who did it. When in fact, apparently we know who did it, and we have no interest in bringing them to justice.
Yeah, exactly. I think this particular leak was in response to the criticism that the administration, after 8 months, had done effectively nothing to avenge the deaths of the 4 diplomats in Benghazi. And as they typically do, they leak information in order to defend themselves. But, of course, if you're a terrorist sitting at a cafe in Benghazi and you're now told that actually the administration does know where you are, how much longer do you think they're going to be there? I mean, this is like a notification that it's time to get out of Dodge and get into the tall grass, which is, I'm sure, what the terrorists are going to do. The fact is that as long as you treat international terrorism like it's something akin to a law violation in a constitutional civil society, you are giving the terrorists complete freedom of action. I think they understand that. I think this is the road to greater risks for Americans in the Middle East, or, sadly, as we saw in Boston, at home as well.
All right. Finally, the drone attacks yesterday. In a letter to Congress, Attorney General Holder confirming, finally, officially, that the U.S. deliberately killed Anwar al-Awlaki, and that 3 other Americans also were killed in drone attacks, not necessarily targeted or not specifically targeted, it said in the letter. The president talking about shifting responsibility for drone attacks, and also that they have to continue, but also saying that that they might not be as widely used. Your take on any kind of shift in policy?
Well, I'm glad that he's defended the use of the drones to date. I think that helps legitimize them beyond any question, including in the elimination of Americans who have turned against their country and are waging war against it. But to say, having declared victory, now to say we're going to limit our use of drones is, of course, consistent with the idea that what we really want to do is have federal prosecutors bring them into federal court. And it's pretty hard to give somebody due process if you've turned them them into an oil spot. So the president here is really saying, that tactic, which formerly was a mark of their success in the war against terrorism, we're going to abandon. So you figure that out. This is a cause for celebration in terrorist camps all over the Middle East.
And now, today, sir, we find out that the M15 in London and England admit that they knew about the two terrorists who slaughtered the soldier yesterday. And this beheading stuff is getting a little too common. We know that now that the FBI killed a man who was in contact with and in fact knew the brothers who blew up the Boston Marathon, and they believe that he was complicit in a triple homicide up a couple of years ago on 9/11 in Boston, where again necks were severed, partially severed from the head. We see what happened in London, and we know that Daniel Perle had his head chopped off, and it seems to me that it's becoming almost a trademark of sorts. And how do you feel about the fact that they knew who these guys were, but there they were walking the streets and able to do what they did?
Well, MI5 is going to have some explaining to do, but I think this incident in Florida where the FBI were questioning this individual in connection with the Tsarnaev brothers and ended up in self-defense having to shoot him tells you the nature of this threat. It's not many FBI interrogations that end up in a shootout like this. And, we can continue to treat this as law enforcement. We made this mistake in the 1990s. I'm afraid we're making it again today. And I'm very afraid that innocent Americans will pay the price for this administration's inability to see the reality right in front of them that international terrorism remains a grave threat.
All right, Mr. Ambassador, as always, we thank you for your time, sir. Take care.
Thanks again for having me.
My pleasure. Ambassador John Bolton. I think I said to him, did I say M15? I'm thinking of like M80 firecrackers. Obviously, I'm reading it. I'm looking at it, the story, and I'm reading M15, MI5, obviously. Anyway, the more I watch that video, and there are some gruesome, horrific videos online where you could see a lot more than we've been showing you, and we showed you yesterday, and the main media has showed you. I mean, if you have a desire to see such things, of that poor soldier, and we know a lot more about the soldier, and we'll tell you more about him as we go along. He was 25 years old, and just outrageous. Ran him over with the car and then chopped him up. Okay, we're coming back. Lots more ahead. Very busy day. We got the Boy Scouts talking about they take their vote tonight, later on, as to whether or not to allow openly gay members into the Scouts. We have that and so much more coming up right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
According to the FBI Uniform Crime Report, there are over 5,000 robberies every day. Your home could be at risk of being burglarized. Don't put your loved ones and valuables in jeopardy. For just over $1 per day, your home can be protected from break-ins, fire, and more. Get the latest home security technology from Protect Your Home, your ADT authorized dealer. Over 6 million households sleep better at night with ADT monitored home security. What's more, Protect Your Home is offering you their latest equipment, an $850 value, absolutely free for qualified customers. Protect your loved ones and home today. Call now for licenses and to find out more. The call is free, 1-800-949-8201. That's 1-800-949-8201. Again, 1-800-949-8201. $99 installation charge, 36-month monitoring agreement at $36.99 per month. Payment by credit card or electronic bank account charge. For new homeowner customers with satisfactory credit history only. Local permit fees may be required. Certain restrictions apply. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency.
Do you know the #1 cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs.
Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-910-3470. That's 1-800-910-3470. Call 1-800-910-3470.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920. That's 800-460-0920. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-0920.
This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
So, let me finish, man. Today, once again, today,
these desperate people.
I'm about to address it, ma'am, but you got to let me speak. I'm about to address it.
Commander-in-Chief.
Let me address it.
Close Guantanamo today.
Why don't you let me address it, ma'am?
Those 86 prisoners.
Why don't you sit down and I will tell you exactly what I'm going to do.
Today. That includes 57 Yemenis.
Thank you, ma'am.
It includes Shakur Amr.
Thank you. Thank you. Ma'am, thank you. You should let me finish my sentence. Today, I once again call on Congress to lift the restrictions on detainee training.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was just a little snippet as we welcome you back to the Steve Malzberg Show from the president's speech that he gave today. It went on for about, I don't know. To be honest with you, the first part of it, my eyes glazed over. It got more interesting towards the end. That woman was a heckler. She continued to heckle him as they took her away, and then she heckled him even later on, and you could tell she was even further back in the distance, but continuing to heckle. She was a heckler from the left. She was talking about the poor Gitmo prisoners who are on a hunger strike. She was talking about how Gitmo should have been closed by now, and he had all this time to do it, and why didn't he do it? And so this was a heckler from the left, just so you know. The president focused on a lot of things, some of which we touched on with Ambassador Bolton. But he said that, referring to the war on terror, he said this war must end. And he said that it's what our democracy demands. In other words, he doesn't believe that being in as he called it, a perpetual wartime footing is to the benefit of this country. To me, he is blind to what we really face. Now, he did reference jihad. He did reference this radical Islam. But he seems to think that by getting rid of al-Qaeda, our problems will be solved. And, of course, I disagree with that. By the way, we should mention that coming up in this next half hour, John Guandolo, former FBI special agent, founder of the security firm Guandolo Associates, will join us to discuss the terrorist attacks in London yesterday, the attack where they beheaded an off-duty soldier, and some of what the president had to say. Clare Lopez will join us, former CIA operations officer and a senior fellow at the Center for Security Policy. Anthony, it's great to be with a Weiner. I call him Little Anthony, as you know. I started that yesterday. Little Anthony Weiner. Not to be confused with Little Anthony of Little Anthony and the Imperials. Little Anthony Weiner will have Roger Stone, political consultant, columnist, and author of the Stone Zone blog. He will join us to talk about Anthony Weiner, who was outside today. The headlines? You don't even want, I can't even tell you. You wait, just wait. And everything Anthony Weiner says, again, he told the reporter today, Brian Lair on NPR, he told him he can't guarantee there's not more pictures of his private parts out there. The whole thing is insane. And Richard Perle, former Assistant Secretary of Defense, will join us. And Noel Nikpour, columnist for the Sun Sentinel. You see her on Fox News. She will be here live. So a full show for you today. But I want to let you hear some of what Barack Obama had to say. This will be cut number 35. Cut 35. Let's give a listen to this particular cut.
Most, though not all, of the terrorism we faced is fueled by a common ideology, a belief by some extremists that Islam is in conflict with the United States and the West, and that violence against Western targets, including civilians, is justified in pursuit of a larger cause. Of course, this ideology is based on a lie, for the United States is not at war with Islam. And this ideology is rejected by the vast majority of Muslims, who are the most frequent victims of terrorist attacks. Nevertheless, this ideology persists.
This ideology does not exist because these jihadists believe we, the United States, are at war with Islam. This ideology persists because it is their interpretation of their religion of Islam. Just as the brother of the Boston bomber, the bomber who's alive, wrote in his little manifesto that they found in the boat, "I do not mourn my brother," he said, "because he is going to paradise. He is a martyr." Don't you see the religious philosophy, Mr. President? Don't you understand that in the Palestinian territories, the kids are taught from the day they're born, kill the Jew? And they're taught that you get killed, you're a martyr. You blow yourself up, you're a martyr. They name soccer stadiums after the people who blow themselves up. That's the philosophy. That's the ideology. It's not people who believe we're at war. Then he went on to say we have to address the root cause of this in other countries. Poverty, lack of education. We must increase entrepreneurism in these countries. Let's increase it here first. That's not going to stop radical Islam. It's a religious philosophy. That's the problem, which I believe this president is purposely blind to. All right, lots ahead, folks, right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Like many of us, Jim enjoys a busy life. Between work, family, and friends, his days zip along. And Jim has the energy to tackle almost anything. But lately, Jim's get up and go has literally taken on a new meaning. Jim's always put focus on a full night's sleep, but it seems like these days, he's up and down to go to the bathroom so many times he can barely wake up in the morning. His prostate concerns have him sad, tired, and worried. Activities that were once enjoyable now seem like a chore for Jim. His golf game is at the mercy of his bathroom schedule. Family outings are planned around it too. Jim even has difficulty going to the bathroom. He's tried so many prostate remedies he can't keep them straight, and nothing ever seems to help. Then Jim found out about Prostate Revive, the all-natural dietary supplement specifically formulated for men, targeted towards improving and sustaining normal prostate function. Prostate Revive includes 15 super ingredients never combined before, including saw palmetto extract, beta-cytosterol, pomegranate fruit extract, selenium, and other high-quality nutrients. These targeted and all-natural ingredients promote healthy urinary flow and optimal prostate health. And the best part is, Prostate Revive was developed by a renowned medical doctor. Dr. David Brownstein personally formulated Prostate Revive with one goal in mind: to promote a healthy prostate gland. Thanks to Prostate Revive, Jim's got his life back. He gets a full night's sleep every night, and his friends and his wife can't believe he's the same guy. He has his old energy back, and no one has to wait for him. He doesn't even think about his prostate concerns anymore. Visit MedicSelect.com to take back your nights and improve your quality of life with Prostate Revive.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really? Yeah.
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Are you tired of the insanity in talk radio? Well, there's a new voice during the afternoon. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
And finally, we face a real threat from radicalized individuals here in the United States. Whether it's a shooter at a Sikh temple in Wisconsin, a plane flying into a building in Texas, or the extremists who killed 168 people at the federal building in Oklahoma City. America's confronted many forms of violent extremism in our history. Deranged or alienated individuals, often U.S. citizens or legal residents, can do enormous damage, particularly when inspired by larger notions of violent jihad. And that pull towards extremism appears to have led to the shooting at Fort Hood and the bombing of the Boston Marathon.
All right, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Folks, that cut, I mean, look, he went on, he wants to close Gitmo, he wants to do this with drones. That cut is all over the place. It was purposely misleading, yet at the same time, it was very revealing and raises lots of questions. Well, I forget, whatever cut number that was, guys, remember it, because I'm going to use it again and again today. Joining us now to analyze that cut and also talk about the terror attack in London yesterday is Guandolo, the former FBI special agent, our friend who's been on the show before, founder of the security firm Guandolo Associates. Hello, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Steve.
All right, now you heard that cut, right, coming in?
I did.
All right, he gives examples of terror attacks here, and he mentions the shooting at the Sikh temple. He mentions the plane that the guy flew into the IRS offices in Texas several years ago, and the Oklahoma City bombing. He purposely mentions non-Muslim perpetrators. Yet at the same time, he mentions Fort Hood as an act of jihad when his own administration classifies it as a case of workplace violence. We just had the congressman from Florida on yesterday, former prosecutor at Fort Hood, who's working to change the classification so the people could get the money they deserve and the status they deserve. So that's a bizarre cut.
Yeah, you almost don't know where to begin with that, except I want to, maybe touch on this one very important point is we know from how the media talking points and actually how they train in journalism schools about the topic of jihad and specifically terrorism is that when you mention Islamic jihad, you always mention non-Islamic, quote-unquote, violent extremism. And so you will always notice, and you even see it on television shows. There was a NCIS episode and other episodes of shows that any time that there's a mention of an Islamic terrorist, quote-unquote, you'll get Timothy McVeigh or someone else. And yet those are not rational analogy.
No, and John, to interrupt, I'm sorry, but to interrupt, usually that's what I get from people on the left, callers and or politicians or officials who bring it up as an example of radical Christianity and how it's just as dangerous as radical Islam. And I say, who? And they say, Timothy McVeigh. And I say, he didn't do it in the name of Christianity. He wasn't even a Christian. So they also equivocate, they also bring that up to kind of neutralize radical Islam, which is absurd.
It is. I mean, I like to call it delusional ignorance. I mean, these arguments come from positions of utter ignorance about the facts, number one, of the Islamic movement. And so when people throw that at me, I just say, well, I'm not talking about that right now. We're talking about this subject. So the first thing is they're trying to move off the topic. And second of all, when they talk about the topic, they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about, as evidenced by the fact that this movement we're talking about, this global jihadist movement, it is a massive, well-organized, well-structured, well-funded movement, and people being killed. That nearly every one of the top 40, most wanted on the FBI's list, 39 of them are Muslims. And if we look at the number across the world of incidences of jihad, and you look at the percentage in the United States, it's overwhelming. So the idea that we can equivocate this or equate this to a bank robbery or a guy who flies a plane in the building as the one outlying event, it's nonsensical.
Of course it's nonsensical. And interesting, I'd love to hear your take on, there was just a great report that's been done prior, but a great report keeping it in the public eye from the NBC TV affiliate down in Dallas that we played all the bites of. And we had, like I said, Congressman Rooney from Florida yesterday, former prosecutor at Fort Hood. And, he's outraged. The victims don't have enough money for food, and yet Major Nadal Hassan, the jihadist, has gotten over almost $300,000 from the government in pay since he shot up the place. And these people can't get what they need and the monies they need because it's not called an act of terror. It's not combat pay. They don't get a Purple Heart. It's considered workplace violence by the administration, and he has the nerve. I mean, maybe it's encouraging. Maybe they'll change it, but I don't think so. He has the nerve to frustrate these people even more. If they were watching, sitting at home, trying everything they can to get the classification changed, and he casually refers to it as if it's jihad, then make it right for these people.
Right. I mean, I think the point to be made there is what Major Hassan did. He acted as a jihadi on the battlefield. They view America as the battlefield just like they do Afghanistan and Iraq. When Abdul Hakim Mohammed, the shooter at the Little Rock, Arkansas recruiting depot, killed Private Andy Long and wounded another soldier, it's the same. And they say it. They say this is just, another incident, meaning the jihadis themselves say, I'm doing this because I'm a Muslim and this is required of me. This is part of the global jihad. If only we would listen to them. I mean, I just look at what happened yesterday in the UK.
Well, I want to get to that right now. Yes, where a soldier, an off-duty soldier, mowed down by two terrorists who were on the radar of MI5 in Great Britain. They knew who they were. They were under investigation, yet they were allowed to be free and to mow down a soldier and then decapitate him.
Yes. And what was stunning to me, although I'm surprised that I'm surprised, is Prime Minister Cameron says while they're not sure why these men did this, there are strong indications that it's terrorism. I don't have words to describe the Grand Canyon-sized disconnect between where Prime Minister Cameron is and where reality is. There was a man on television with a meat cleaver with blood literally dripping off it from hacking off the head of the soldier, and he's explaining why he did it, because the law commands it. And that's what, according to this guy, that's what Islam is, that's what Islam requires. an eye for an eye. And
well, let's let, just in case the Prime Minister hasn't seen it and he's watching at Newsmax.com, or he's got his XM radio on America's Talk Channel 244. Let's go to Cut 26, Will. Let's do them all a favor over there in jolly old England and let them hear 28-year-old terrorist Michael Adeboyiko, whatever his name is. And here's what he said in his, like you say, in his own words on television.
And in Surah At-Tawbah, through many ayat throughout the Quran, that we must fight them as they fight us. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. I apologize that women had to witness this today, but in our lands, our women have to see the same. You people will never be safe. Remove your governments. They don't care about you.
Okay, and plus, of course, the witnesses all said he was shouting Allah Akbar when they were chopping the man's head off. But, yeah, can't classify it as an act of terrorism.
Yeah, we have strong indication, but we're not sure. And there are several things about this. And those folks, I got some calls today, those folks that read the blog that I did last night. You know, I was in England several years ago at a government facility, at a military facility, where the lead speakers in this multiple-day conference for law enforcement, intelligence, military people, including judges and barristers, the primary speakers, nearly all of them were jihadis. They were from the Quillam Foundation, the Muslim Association of Britain, the Muslim Council of Britain. These are Muslim Brotherhood organizations. And then when I was asked by a few of the members that we met with privately, Parliament members and a retired three-star general, they asked, what's your assessment? And I said, my assessment is, unless you all do something significant, drastic in the next year, you're going to lose this. And even a couple of my close friends in the security world over there kind of mocked me. And then, of course, 2.5 years later, I found out they were looking for property in other European countries because they wanted to move. And I think the point I'm trying to make is you can see this coming. You could see it coming. I believe the UK is lost. And I don't think they're going to recover unless they really do something drastic. But I see zero energy and willingness and intent on the part of the government. And I see a British citizenry that's completely passive to this threat. Now, my experience there was also at the cab driver level and at the local constable level. They had rage for the Islamic community, but that didn't turn into anything practical because just like here, they've got Muslim brothers and jihadis working with the police units, advising the police
well,
units.
John, you took the words right out of my mouth. We're talking to John Guandolo, former FBI special agent, founder of the security firm Guandolo Associates, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. And that relates to, to me, it's beyond my comprehension to believe that Barack Obama could be sitting there talking about, and he was talking about how we have to work with the Muslim community because they're interested in identifying terrorists and they're interested in identifying anything suspicious, when in fact most prominent quote-unquote Muslim civil rights groups, which we could certainly dispute with what they really are, advise their members how to not cooperate with the FBI, advise their members against turning anybody in, don't want the FBI in their mosques or their schools or their communities, and in fact do the opposite in many cases with that, and do not cooperate. And as you said, Obama cannot not know, double negative there, that offshoots of the Muslim Brotherhood have members in almost every significant department in his administration.
Right, and so you see the parallels of what, I believe England's probably 8 or 10 years ahead of us, maybe not that much. I'd be open to a discussion about that. But all the things they're doing are the things we're doing. As a matter of fact, this idea of violent extremism, that phrase came from the Brits through the DHS and the U.S. FBI when they went over in a series of meetings over there. They came back with this whole plan, and it included this violent extremism working group that got stood up at DHS that comes right out of the UK playbook. So if you want to know where we're going, that's where we're going. Now, we've already seen beheadings in the United States. Muzamil Hassan in New York, as a matter of fact, who created Bridges TV, sawed his wife's head off. And he is a very close friend of Nihad Awad, one of the senior leaders of Hamas in the United States, also known as the Council on American Islamic Relations. We've seen things like vehicular jihad, which is what yesterday was, using your vehicle as a tool for jihad. We saw it at UNC Chapel Hill with Tiri Azar. Remember that young guy who drove over 9 people?
Yep.
And he said, it was interesting. There are so many clues that we miss, and not that I want to get in the weeds, but when he got arrested, he was clean-shaven. When he came and came to his sentencing, he had grown his beard because he had declared himself a jihadi. And he wrote a letter to ABC explaining that Allah commands this, and this is why he did it. We had a case in Fremont, California. There was a case in Texas of vehicular jihad. But our law enforcement and our intelligence community don't know it when they see it because
they're not allowed to. They're not allowed to know it.
You can't get to. That's why when people, I got to tell you, I have a lot of sympathy for the agents who interviewed Tamerlan Tsarnaev and then gave him the pass. You might say, how in the world could a credible agent do that? I'm sure that agent is probably a superb agent.
But he wasn't allowed to ask questions.
Right. Well, it's not that easy. You can't get to that Islam has anything to do with it.
Well, that's what I mean. He's not allowed to ask the right questions. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and that's because of groups. Some say it's groups like CARE that have rewritten the FBI's training manual and other law enforcement training manuals and taken all those kind of things out. Hey, listen, fascinating conversation as always, John. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Steve. I really enjoy it.
My pleasure. Take care. That's John Guandolo, ladies and gentlemen, former FBI special agent and now head of his own security firm, Guandolo Associates. It's really frightening. It really is frightening. And while the president did interject terminology, when you listen, excuse me, when you listen to everything that he said, and this war must end, and we got to close Guantanamo. It's not who we are. It's the same liberal rhetoric. It's the same falsification of what this war is really about, this war on terror, and it's the same blindness all along that he's exhibited to what this war on terror is really about. It's not dismantling Al-Qaeda. When we destroy Al-Qaeda, when there's no more Al-Qaeda, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter when the direct offshoots of Al-Qaeda are gone. It's not, it'll be good, but it's not going to matter. Not much at all, because of the fact that this is a religious belief. I don't know what the percentage of Muslims that believe in either committing jihad or in supporting jihad are. I don't know what the percentage is. Is it 2? Is it 20? Is it 40? I don't know. But polls have been done in the Muslim world, and it's much higher than that. At least support for it is in certain countries. And I'll also say that the population of Muslims in the world is so great that even a small percentage presents a huge problem. A huge problem. Going into these countries, first of all, most of the countries wouldn't want us in there, but going into poor countries, which are, according to the president, breeding grounds for radicalization of young men to radical Islam, because they're poor, and making them better. We have to better educate them. How about we better educate ourselves? We have to provide entrepreneurism to them. How about we provide it to ourselves? We have to do that. No, it has nothing to do with that. It is an interpretation of Islam that these people have. Not all Muslims, these people, the ones that have it. That's what needs to be addressed. And by having our FBI and our law enforcement not be able to question people with regard to radical Islam and the like is a recipe for suicide. And the president knows it. He knows what the FBI is no longer able to talk about or ask or train. He knows it. Or maybe he doesn't. He didn't know about the IRS. He didn't know about the Justice Department. He didn't know about Benghazi. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he sees, hears, speaks none of it. Anyway, we're coming right back. New evidence in the George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin case on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Are you at least 62 years old like me? Could you use an extra $50,000, $100,000 or more to live a better life? Then please consider the benefits a reverse mortgage can provide to you. With a reverse mortgage, you can have your mortgage payments stopped altogether and get equity out of your home to live on. And you can use the money to help you live a better life. How nice would that be, not to have a mortgage payment? Qualifying for a reverse mortgage is simple, since there are no income, asset, employment, or credit requirements. However, you must be 62 years or older, own your home outright, or have a very low balance on the mortgage, and be prepared to live in it throughout the rest of the loan. Call now for more information.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Do you owe the IRS? Do you have unfiled tax returns? Have you received a wage garnishment or bank levy? Maybe a lien has been filed against you. OMG Tax can help you with all your IRS tax problems. Don't wait another second. Take action now. Call my team at OMG Tax. Honest and professional, we don't make false promises. If you owe back taxes, or if the IRS is garnishing your paycheck, you need help now. OMG Tax can help you get your life back to normal. If you're serious about handling your tax matter, call OMG Tax now and get the peace of mind you deserve. Don't let the IRS take your next paycheck. Stop waiting and call our team at OMG Tax. OMG Tax has a straightforward, no-nonsense approach and has helped many Americans resolve their IRS nightmare. Call OMG Tax now.
Call 1-800-255-6485. That's 1-800-255-6485. 800-255-6485.
A tragic fire, a break-in, a fall. Look, accidents and emergencies really do happen. The difference between life and death could be as simple as the push of a button. That's where Medical Guardian comes in. Are you afraid that something tragic may happen with no one around to help? What if you or your elderly loved one had a fall and lay for hours or even days before any help arrived? What if it was just too late? You don't have to live in fear that something terrible could happen. It's time you discovered Medical Guardian. Life-saving help at the push of a button. Get the peace of mind you need for yourself and your loved ones. Call 800-550-3470 right now. Be one of the first 100 callers and get your first month of Medical Guardian free. 800-550-3470. Call now and get your first month for free. The help you need is at your fingertips. Ensure your safety today with Medical Guardian. 800-550-3470. That's 800-550-3470.
It's a fact. You can make thousands of dollars flipping houses. Discover the secret house flipping formula from Dave and Pete, the stars of A&E's #1 hit show, Flipping Boston, for free.
Hi, it's Pete and Dave. We're giving you our flipping formula for free. It's what we use to find the right house, flip it fast, and get paid.
It's time to stop just talking about flipping houses and start doing it. Now is one of the best times in history. USA Today reported that you can make thousands of dollars in profit flipping houses.
In New York City, the average profit was over $118 grand. Omaha, it's over $71,000. Lake Havasu, Arizona, the profit per flip was $87,000.
And we're going to show you how we do it for free. Stop dreaming. The houses are there. The opportunity will never be better. And for a limited time, the flipping formula is free.
Call now, 800-643-6931 for your free Flipping Formula Strategy Guide DVDs. Just pay processing. That's 800-643-6931. 800-643-6931.
3 a.m. and you're up again for the third time. It's not just affecting your sleep, it's interrupting your daily life. Frequent trips to the bathroom due to an aging prostate is a common concern, but you can now do something about it with Prostate Revive. Doctor-formulated Prostate Revive is an all-natural dietary supplement packed with 15 powerful ingredients, focused on improving prostate health by targeting the two main sources of prostate concerns, rogue testosterone and inflammation. And now, in this limited time radio offer, you can try Prostate Revive absolutely free. That's a free bottle, a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, risk-free. Plus, if you call right now, you'll also receive our free report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. Call now for details on getting your free bottle, plus our doctor's report. Call 1-800-659-REVIVE. That's 1-800-659-REVIVE. Don't be a victim of an aging prostate. Start getting the sleep you need and get your life back with Prostate Revive. Claim your risk-free bottle now at 1-800-659-REVIVE.
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream. Streaming. The most technology advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
I am your captain. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Coming up, Clare Lopez, former CIA operations officer, will join us to talk about the terrorist attack in London yesterday and what the president had to say. New evidence in the George Zimmerman case. The defense for George Zimmerman, the trial starts June 10th. And the defense releasing evidence that they discovered on Trayvon Martin's cell phone, including text messages in which he wrote about taking part in organized fights and talking about how he lost round 1, but he won round 2 and round 3, but he didn't bloody the guy enough. Evidence packet also includes 24 photos, one that shows him with gold teeth, one of him making an obscene gesture, several with smoke coming out of his mouth, pictures of marijuana plants. Let's see. There are also new photos which defense say indicate that they came from his cell phone. They show him, I said, blowing smoke. And they also show a handgun, which appears to be a .40 caliber Smith & Wesson in a hand, in a black man's hand. They don't know if it's his or not. I say that this all has to be allowed in as evidence, because the key to the case is going to be who started the fight. Was George Zimmerman in fear for his life? And this man's capabilities and violent past possibly, and what he's done, drug use, fights, certainly enters into it. It has to be admitted, or he'll never get a fair trial. On the Steve Malzberg Show. Don't go away.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-1530 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-1530. That's 800-460-1530. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-1530. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-625-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-625-MyTV. 1-855-625-MyTV. Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more. 1-855-625-MyTV. 1-855-625-MyTV.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. A major speech from President Obama today about national security and also perhaps a major shift in the way drones are going to be used. This all comes as the White House confirms for the first time that unmanned aircraft have killed 4 American citizens who were not criminally charged. In a letter to Congress, Attorney General Eric Holder defended the killing of American-born al-Qaeda leader Anwar al-Awlaki without giving too many details, saying only that al-Awlaki and 3 other Americans killed in similar attacks were not specifically targeted. Today's speech is aimed at making good on the president's promise of more transparency in drone strikes, and it's expected to signal an end to so-called signature strikes like the ones that killed these 4 Americans. Also, control of the government's drone program will eventually move from the CIA over to the Defense Department, but since most of the program remains classified, the president was not very specific how that will happen. And following her defiant statement in which she said she did nothing wrong and her Fifth Amendment plea, IRS Director Lois Lerner remains in charge of the service's healthcare division. But she will have to come back to the House Oversight Committee to face questions about what she knew about the targeted scrutiny of conservative groups. Congressman Darrell Issa, chairman of that committee, made that decision after this plea from South Carolina Congressman Trey Gowdy.
She just testified. She just waived her Fifth Amendment right to privilege. You don't get to tell your side of the story and then not be subjected to cross-examination. She ought to stand here and answer our questions.
Also, President Obama will see the Oklahoma tornado damage firsthand when he visits there on Sunday. Meanwhile, Homeland Security Secretary Janet Napolitano was there yesterday. We now know that among the 24 people killed, 10 of them were children, and 13,000 homes were either damaged or destroyed in these tornadoes. The total cost of this disaster could be at least $2 billion. And coming up next on your Newsmax Now update, new questions about the London terror attack yesterday. A British soldier beheaded in the middle of the street. But what did authorities know about the suspect before this horrific event? Plus, a Newsmax exclusive with Karl Rove on the unprecedented investigation of a Fox News reporter by the Justice Department. Next.
If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45, non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month, and this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50, non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309.
Do you owe the IRS? Do you have unfiled tax returns? Have you received a wage garnishment or bank levy? Maybe a lien has been filed against you. OMG Tax can help you with all your IRS tax problems. Don't wait another second. Take action now. Call my team at OMG Tax. Honest and professional, we don't make false promises. If you owe back taxes, or if the IRS is garnishing your paycheck, you need help now. OMG Tax can help you get your life back to normal. If you're serious about handling your tax matter, call OMG Tax now and get the peace of mind you deserve. Don't let the IRS take your next paycheck. Stop waiting and call our team at OMG Tax. OMG Tax has a straightforward, no-nonsense approach and has helped many Americans resolve their IRS nightmare. Call OMG Tax now.
Call 1-800-255-6485. That's 1-800-255-6485. 800-255-6485.
And welcome back. The man killed by the FBI in Florida yesterday was a friend of Boston bombing suspect Tamerlan Tsarnaev. Ibragim Todashayev used to train with Tsarnaev at a Boston area gym. Law enforcement sources now say that both have been involved, or may have been rather, involved in a triple murder near Boston back in 2011. But as of yet, investigators say there is no direct evidence linking Todashev to the Boston bombings. The FBI wanted to talk to him after phone records suggested a connection to Tsarnaev, but investigators say Todashev pulled out his knife during questioning at his Orlando apartment, and that is why he ended up getting shot and killed. And British leaders are holding emergency talks today after two men stabbed a British soldier to death, beheading him on a London street. Both suspects are now in the hospital under armed guard. One of them shouted Islamic slogans and said British soldiers must die because they are killing Muslims. Police later shot and wounded that man and the other suspect. Both are thought to be British citizens with links to Nigeria and were apparently known by authorities. Investigators will also be looking into links to extremist groups and a possible specific trigger for this murder. And security has also been stepped up at British military bases. And during a Newsmax exclusive, Karl Rove, a former advisor to President George W. Bush, says the administration's surveillance and investigation of Fox News reporter James Rosen may well be unprecedented.
I'm sympathetic to wanting to discover the leak of confidential or classified government information. But heretofore, at least in the last several decades, when those kind of things happened, the focus of whatever administration was in office was on the leaker, not the journalist who received the information.
And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for May the 23rd. I'm John Bachman. Now here's the Steve Malzberg Show.
Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Now make no mistake, our nation is still threatened by terrorists. From Benghazi to Boston, we have been tragically reminded of that truth. But we have to recognize that the threat has shifted and evolved from the one that came to our shores on 9/11. With a decade of experience now to draw from, this is the moment to ask ourselves hard questions about the nature of today's threats and how we should confront them.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show, hour number 2. That was the president from his what they called a major speech on our national security going forward. Joining us now to talk about that is Clare Lopez, senior fellow at the Center for Security Policy, former CIA operations officer. And Clare, welcome back to the show. Great to talk to you again.
Hi, Steve. Thanks. I'm glad to be with you.
Well, thank you. I know you're on the road, and I appreciate your time. I don't know how much of the president's speech you heard, but clearly he addressed the issue of terrorism, basically boiling it down to an al-Qaeda problem, boiling it down to the reason people get radicalized in other countries is poverty that we have to fix. That we have to work with the Muslim community in this country because the Muslim community is quick to report radicals and want no part of them. It just seems like he's living in an alternate universe to a great extent.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I mean, alternate universe is a good way to put it. There's no indication, for instance, that the attackers in London, in the London killing from yesterday, have any connection to al-Qaeda whatsoever. They're still investigating, of course, but what we do know, of course, is that they are Muslims. And they are jihadists who were hollering at the top of their lungs, according to reports, Allahu Akbar, as they attacked this poor British soldier.
Absolutely, and I don't know if that poverty played any role. As a matter of fact, I believe that one of them, at least, came from a devout Christian family, and he converted to Islam. And again, I don't know how the president's MO of these terrorists in other countries holds water in this case whatsoever. Talk to me about what is going on. Again, here we have, like you said, they're not Al-Qaeda. We don't know who they were influenced by. We know that the British authorities did have their eyes on them in the past, yet they were able to grab an off-duty soldier or run down an off-duty soldier, vehicular jihad as it was called by our previous guest, and then proceed to behead him. What is the significance in the beheading? Of course, we saw it with, with the murders that took place with the two brothers involved in the bombing. It turns out that they were involved in that triple homicide where the heads were severed. We've seen it before. We saw it with Daniel Perle, and of course, we saw it with Van Gogh in the Denmark. So, what is it with the beheading?
Well, beheading is a typically Islamic form of killing, and it derives directly from the Quran, where verses talk about striking at the neck of the infidels. And so it has become a hallmark in some ways of jihadists attacking their enemies, in this case, this British soldier.
So what do we do? What does London do? What does England do? What do we do? I mean, to combat the I guess these have to be classified as lone wolves because they're not. If they're not, linked directly to Al Qaeda, so are the brothers in Boston, and and so are many would-be attackers that have been thwarted lone wolves. I mean, they may have Al Qaeda influence, but they're not the card-carrying members. So. What is the answer as opposed to what the president prescribes? What do we need to do in this country? What does Western countries have to do all over the world to make sure this gets thwarted and doesn't grow out of control?
Well, I think you put your finger right on it, Steve, when you talked about the use of the term lone wolf. These attackers are not lone wolves, even if they are not attached in any way to Al-Qaeda or some other recognized terrorist group. That doesn't make them lone wolves. They are Muslims. That makes them part of the Ummah. They are part of the worldwide Ummah. They are part of the worldwide global international jihad movement. They learned the tenets of Islam, which command jihad against the infidel somewhere, perhaps in their families, perhaps in the mosques which they attended, perhaps with the addition of some connections online, on the internet, where, of course, Al-Qaeda and others post things like the Al-Qaeda Inspire magazine. And on that note, let me mention the Inspire magazine specifically has of late and more recently called upon Muslims the world over to engage in what is called individual jihad. That means you don't have to go to a battlefield someplace like Afghanistan or Syria. You do jihad wherever you are, in the place where you live. And it suggests, the soft targets that they ought to attack. And they have mentioned things like shopping malls and sporting events and, unfortunately, children, schools. And so these Muslims who answer that call to jihad, and by the way, the vast majority of Muslims the world over want nothing to do with this. That is absolutely true. But those who answer that call are on solid doctrinal grounds in terms of Islam. And that is what appears to be the case, perhaps with these two in London yesterday, that they were acting on that call to jihad, which, by the way, is binding on all Muslims, whether they choose to obey it or not. And thank goodness for the many millions and hundreds of millions who do not obey it. But they appear to have obeyed that call. And but I would not call them lone wolves because they are part of an international ideological network.
Right.
And
So
that network taught them and trained them.
When I say lone wolves, I'm just talking about not being devout members of Al Qaeda, so to speak. We're talking to Clare Lopez, senior fellow at the Center for Security Policy, former CIA operations officer, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Given our as to quote the great Andy McCarthy, willful blindness to at least by our government to what is actually happening. Barack Obama actually cited Fort Hood as an act of jihad in his speech today, yet he will not classify it as an act of jihad? Do you find that bizarre?
That's amazing, absolutely amazing. Of course, we know we've been waiting for the last 4 years, well, 3.5 years, for the government and certainly the Department of Defense to call the Fort Hood shooting what it was, which, by the way, I would not classify as a terrorist organization attack, because terrorism is acts of violence committed against non-combatants. A soldier of Allah, self-identified as Nidal Hassan was, attacking other soldiers whom he called infidels is an act of war. And again, this goes back to the lone wolf concept. He was not a lone wolf. He was a soldier in a much greater army, worldwide, global Islamic jihad, attacking the army of the infidels as he would see it.
What do we do? I mean, it's not a simple question, and we don't have all day. We only have about a minute left. But what do we do? Does it start with the realization, public acknowledgement of what you're saying by someone like our president? And as long as that doesn't happen, and as long as the questions that the FBI could ask, the training manuals are changed, I mean, it seems like we're going in the we're not just remaining steady. We're going in the complete wrong direction to combat all this.
Yeah, we sure are. And, of course, the first step is to acknowledge the enemy that we face, to name that enemy with the words that the enemy uses to define himself, and then to implement an effective strategy to defeat that enemy, which, by the way, is multifaceted. It's not just military. It is intelligence. It is in the information battle space. It is acknowledging the theological element of Islam as part of this ideology. But we need that overall strategy, and the first part of that is to name the name of the enemy and call him what he is. This is Islamic jihad.
All right, Claire, thank you so much. Enjoy your drive. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Clare Lopez, Senior Fellow, Center for Security Policy, and former CIA Operations Officer with over 20 years experience here on the Steve Malzberg Show. When we come back, we're switching gears. That's my switching gears noise. That's what it is. And we're going to be joined by Roger Stone, political consultant and the author of the Stone Zone blog. Little Anthony Weiner. He was greeting folks at the subway station today. He's out there, baby. He's running for mayor, yet he gives another interview where he says, again, I can't tell you there are no more pictures of my private parts out there. This whole thing to me is just a sick joke. And we'll talk about it with Roger when we come back right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Guys, you've heard about Ageless Male, the natural supplement that helps boost testosterone levels within normal, healthy ranges. But now, the best testosterone product is even better. New and improved Ageless Male can help you feel more like you used to in your active life and in your romantic life. Because our upgraded formula has been clinically shown to increase your drive, desire, and performance. That's right, guys. Ageless Male has been clinically shown to boost performance. Cancel your plans this weekend. You're staying in. If you're ready to recapture the drive from your youth, now is the time to try Ageless Male because it's available risk-free. But you must call now. Just call 1-800-460-9790. Be the guy you used to be. Just call 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790.
If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction to alcohol or drugs, then you must listen to this message because there is hope. No matter what addiction you or your loved one is coping with, you are just one phone call away from real help. Recovery Hotline makes the healing process simple and affordable by matching people to fully certified and experienced inpatient facilities that are right for their personal situations. Call 800-668-1286 now. Don't wait another day. Money does not have to be an issue. Most insurance is accepted. Just call 800-668 800-668-1286 today. Recovery Hotline's mission is to help you or someone you love begin the healing process and get back a healthy and sober life. And we can even help with family interventions and travel arrangements. One phone call is all it takes to get back the life you or your loved one deserves. The call is free. The help is real. Call 800-668-1286. That's 800-668-1286. 800-668-1286. Again, 800-668-1286.
Hi, this is Dick Morris. Obamacare is taking full effect this year with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why you should get your copy of Obamacare Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 today by going to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
What is LigNet? LigNet is knowledge. LigNet is power. LigNet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is LigNet? LigNet is confidential. LigNet is sensitive. LigNet is security. What is LigNet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on lignet.com. You've been briefed.
Obamacare. More than $1 trillion in new costs. Hidden taxes, fees, big Medicare cuts, doctor shortages. How can we survive?
To know Obamacare is to survive Obamacare. The Obamacare Survival Guide tells you everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Are you tired of the insanity in talk radio? Well, there's a new voice during the afternoon. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
Let's talk about Anthony Weiner. We saw that video come out overnight announcing his formally getting into the race for mayor of New York City. Let's show a little bit of it.
Every day starts right here. And it's the best part of my day. Look, I made some big mistakes, and I know I let a lot of people down. But I've also learned some tough lessons.
We love this city, and no one will work harder to make it better than Anthony.
I will fight for you every single day.
His wife, of course, Hillary Clinton's aide, Huma Abedin. And now, this is going to be an uphill fight for Weiner, but he does have a big war chest.
He does have a big war chest. You see, everything you say about the guy now takes on this double entendre. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. We're joined right now by Roger Stone, political consultant and author of the Stone Zone blog. Hello, Roger.
Steve Malzberg, great to be with you.
Well, great to have you on. He has a big war chest. I mean, you see how ridiculous this is? What do you think?
You know,
Go ahead.
The real irony here is, of course, when he got caught with his problems, he should have resigned from the House and then run in the special election, in which case he might have won, and this would all be behind him. Instead, he went to the mattresses, and now, having really never made contrition, he's going to try to make a comeback. I think his election is very improbable, Steve, but his being in the race could help affect who does win the race, even though I don't think it will be Anthony Weiner.
No, that's absolutely true. They some candidates are welcoming his participation in the race. The broader the field, the better shot they think they have in the primary on the Democratic side, certainly. But let's talk a little bit about this. I think Andrew Cuomo today just just said, and by the way, it was well, who was it who said? Oh yeah, Sal Albanese, I think, said that. Well, I don't know, one of them. Bill Thompson, I think, was celebrating that he was in the race. But Governor Cuomo said, shame on us if Anthony Weiner is elected mayor. And I got to tell you, here's the whole thing. Here's the whole thing, Roger. Now, follow this timeline. Weiner says that, when I apologized to my wife, what did I do to my wife? Then, months ago, he did an interview with Dominic Carter on RNN where he said he couldn't guarantee there's not more pictures out there. And then today, he's on with Brian Lair, and the same issue comes up. Let's do cut number 30.
This is something that, my wife and I have gone through I put her through some very difficult things, and we work on this, and it's, she says it's in the rearview mirror, but it's not far in the rearview mirror. I have learned some difficult lessons, and I have put these things behind me. I am trying to move forward and talk about the things that I care about. But this behavior is regrettable. I deeply regret it. It hurt me and my family very much. It let down a lot of people, and it's behind me.
And you're how confident that it won't happen again?
It is behind me.
Okay, but he also told Brian that there could be more pictures out there. So knowing there could be more pictures out there, all it takes now is one woman to come forward, and he's done. So what is this all about?
You know what? Actually, I'm not sure that's the case. In all honesty here, I think that the truth is the American people have very short memories. New Yorkers are very big on a second chance. New Yorkers believe in redemption, and New Yorkers actually like a guy who gets knocked down his keister and gets up. So if this guy is willing to experience all the derision and all of the Leno jokes and Letterman jokes and all the public ridicule that he's going to get to run, you know what? Steve, it's a free country. I'm delighted to see him run because I think his running enhances the chances of New York City either electing Joe Lhota, the former MTA director, who I think is an adult and could be mayor of New York City, or if it has to be a Democrat, I'll take Bill Thompson, the most conservative of the Democrats, somebody with an actual business background, who I think would be a pretty good mayor.
Well, no, yeah. The other candidates aside, though, one of the polls I saw showed that less than 50% of Democrats would even consider voting for him. Here's what I don't understand. If he knows there are other pictures out there, and he's admitted that, he has said that there could be, which means of course there are, then you don't think if a woman comes forward 2 weeks from now, a week from now, a month from now, and there's more crotch pictures, he's dead? You think
it'll be a one-day story. He'll take a bunch of ridicule. It's because, Steve, it's dog bites man. It's already been done. If there's 6, what difference does 7 make?
Because most people don't hear it. Because you know why, Roger? Because most people, I'm showing the headline of the Daily News, say front page, he's got some balls, and they're showing the crotch picture. This isn't going to go away.
Both, exactly, which is why there's no revelation. The two tabloids are pounding this day in and day out. That's why if there's 6, what difference does it make?
Here's what, Roger, because the people who watch this show and shows like it and listen to it, they're savvy. We're savvy. We know it. So we know that he has said there might be some more pictures out there. The average person in New York who might vote for mayor doesn't know that he's coming back and there could be more. If they see another one, he's done.
His fundamental problem here is he's upside down in terms of his polling. So more voters have an unfavorable rating of him than a favorable rating.
Right.
Those numbers are not likely to change. If you like him today, you know everything about him, but you still like him. That's a plurality of the voters.
All right, Roger, I am up against a hard break. I thank you. I can't wait to see how this turns out, and we'll have you back to talk about it along the way. Roger Stone, ladies and gentlemen.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now. 800-574-6029. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-574-6029. That's 800-574-6029. Again, 800-574-6029.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming. The shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. The only 1.5 ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The silver polar bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
If you need to lose weight and would like to get paid for it, that's right, I said get paid to lose weight. Just listen to the following announcement. The makers of GCE Green Coffee Bean Weight Loss are looking for real testimonials from real people and will pay you per pound to meet or exceed your weight loss goal. Until now, the secrets of green coffee's fat-burning power has been limited, but thanks to Dr. Oz, the secret is out. And now, this authentic green coffee bean fat burner is available in easy-to-take tablets. There are no expensive meals to buy or strenuous workouts. Simply take one tablet before each meal and record your progress. Only the first 200 callers are guaranteed to be accepted into the program. So if you're serious about losing extra weight and want to earn extra cash for fitting into your skinny jeans again, call 800-383-9230 now. Call 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230. Space is limited, so hurry and secure your spot today. 800-383-9230. Some conditions apply. 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price.
Scroll down now to claim your copy of Obamacare Survival Guide for the special internet offer of only $4.95.
This is not your typical Screenfest talk show. No. This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, have you heard the one about the 18-year-old lesbian who had sexual relations with a 14-year-old, is being prosecuted, and has now been made out to be a hero and a victim, more importantly, a victim, by the media, as she's paraded around from show to show, claiming that she's being picked on simply because she's a lesbian. This case is, well, it's gone largely unnoticed by the mainstream media as far as anything being wrong. It's just that she's been a victim. That's how she's been portrayed. So Matthew Philbin, who's managing editor at the Media Research Center's Culture and Media Institute, has been writing about this. I've been reading his pieces on Newsbusters, newsbusters.com. I'm sorry, newsbusters.org. And we welcome in Matt right now. Hey, Matt, how are you? I'm out of my mind. I mean, I have Noel Shepard on every week, and I can't even get your website straight. Newsbusters.org. Anyway, tell us the story of what's going on here. This girl, Caitlin Hunt, she faces 2 felony charges, a senior at a high school, set to graduate, and she pressured a 14-year-old girl to be her quote-unquote girlfriend and engaged in sexual activity with her. I don't see how this is any different than if a boy did the same thing to a 14-year-old girl. And the media's making a championing. They're championing her cause. How? Why?
Well, it's the left-wing media. Outlets like Huffington Post, Think Progress has taken up the cause. I believe the ACLU is involved now. But it's basically they're saying that she is a lesbian, therefore this is being prosecuted. This would not be prosecuted if it were an 18-year-old boy and a 14-year-old girl, which clearly is ridiculous. Statutory rape is statutory rape, or felony battery is felony battery, and unfortunately, there is a whole internet campaign now, a Free Caitlin campaign of grassroots lefties who want the charges dropped for this girl. Her parents, very smartly, I think, decided that they were going to try her in the court of left-wing public opinion. And she is certainly getting her day in court that way.
Well, and you left out, I think you left out MSNBC and Chris Hayes' show, right?
Yes, Chris Hayes is on board now, too.
Yeah. They had a graphic while she was on. They had a graphic that said LGBT injustice.
Right.
I mean, I don't even know how they do this with a straight face. If it's against the law, I mean, and it's statutory rape, then it's against the law and it's statutory rape. I would think if you're a supporter of gay rights in the LGBT community, you would want to support the prosecution of this, or you would want it to go away, and you wouldn't want to make an example of her and make this case known and show that you're fighting on her side when she raped a 14-year-old. Allegedly.
Yeah, right.
I don't get it.
You would think that real equality demanded that. But, equality isn't really what they're after. It's special treatment. And the other thing is they're tried to paint this as some sort of sweet love story, when what they were doing is meeting in the girls' room in the stall of a bathroom in a public high school to have sex. This is not Romeo and Juliet. This is really disgusting behavior. It's wrong on every level. If it were a boy and a girl, or 2 boys, or whatever. So they really don't have a leg to stand on, except the fact that because she's a lesbian, she has this supposed immunity from prosecution, according to the left.
Well, and here's the thing. We're talking to Matthew Philbin, by the way, and Matthew is the managing editor at the Media Research Center's Culture and Media Institute here on the Steve Malzberg Show. It would be one thing if we found out that the parents of the 14-year-old, didn't care or didn't want to press charges or said it was okay. Not that it would make it legal, but nonetheless. But that's not the case. Think Progress quoted the girl's mother talking about the underage girl's parents as saying, quote, "They feel like my daughter made their daughter gay. They are bigoted religious zealots that see being gay as a sin and wrong, and they blame my daughter." I mean, again, your daughter is 18 and their daughter is a minor. Duh.
Yeah, that's right. But if you can play the gay card, and you can throw in words like religious bigots or zealots, that's catnip to the left. You get automatic sympathy. Doesn't matter what the real crime is or what the real issue is. That's how the game is played, and it's working perfectly for the parents.
Chris Hayes, the host of his own show on MSNBC, as we said, had the parents on and the girl. and said that it was an incredible story, quote unquote. The on-screen graphic, like I said, tilted the segment by saying LGBT injustice. And Hayes made clear, as you wrote in your story, or actually this was a story by Jeffrey Mayer on newsbusters.org. He said that, quote, there were people at the news conference today, said Hayes, wearing T-shirts that said "Stop the Hate." And my sense from following this is that your belief is that the parents of the girl in question called authorities because this was a relationship between two teenage girls. It's inconceivable on so many levels. It's just, to me, mainstream America, if they're watching Chris Hayes' show, and I don't think they are, or however they hear about this, mainstream America is not going to be sympathetic and say, even if they favor gay marriage and all that kind of stuff and equality, when it comes to this, I mean, this is rape, and this is, 14-year-old girl. If it was a 12 or 13-year-old boy and it was a guy, then it would be rape and pedophilia. I mean, America doesn't warm to this. So I just don't understand the parents making an issue of this. You'd think they would hide their daughter, or their daughter would hide in shame and take a plea or something and just let it go away. Instead, they're trying to make her into a symbol of a movement that apparently, I don't know if the gay community is behind this as much, you could tell me, but the supporters of the gay community and the gay movement in this country are making her a symbol, and the symbol is a rapist. I just don't get it all.
Well, look, it's all of a piece with the project of the left to remove all standards for sexual behavior. And it's simply moral relativism that, they say, first they were trying to say that this relationship started when Caitlin was 17, which is not the case. It started when she was 18, but even if it had been, they're saying, well, how does it automatically become a crime the moment she turns 18? Well, that assumes she should be doing it anyway. She should not be doing it anyway. These are 18 and 14-year-old children. And yes, an 18-year-old, if you want to call them a child, Obama calls 26-year-olds children. So,
right. Your kids could stay on your children could stay on your health care.
Right.
Yeah.
So, look, this is a part of a movement to say nothing is illegitimate.
Right.
Nothing is off the table.
Well, and I don't want to imply that it's the same thing, okay? And I'm not. I don't know enough about this girl. I don't know enough about this, and we're not talking here about pedophilia. But that, and I am so upset, and I've written columns about this and done shows on it. There have been gatherings, symposiums, or whatever you want to call them. One was formed by or run by a group called B4U Act, the letter B-4U ACT, and the whole thing was to dumb down pedophilia. Change the name, younger attracted people, whatever the hell they want to call it. Pardon my language, that slipped out. I meant heck. But I get emotional about this. And make it acceptable. Make it, decriminalize it. And that kids should be able to consent at this young age. If they're in love, who are we to say no? So there is an effort. I'm not saying it has anything to do with this girl, but it is, I believe, germane to this topic and discussion to dumb down and to kind of like mainstream, in a sense, pedophilia.
Yes, there absolutely is. And there's nothing that they want to be off the table. Pedophilia is fine unless it's a Catholic priest. This is, and I'm not saying this is everybody, but there is a sort of mindset out there.
Oh yeah, there were college professors at this symposium,
yeah,
and
sure.
PhDs and all that. Absolutely.
Yeah, and the idea is that if we remove all standards of sexual behavior, then nobody will be judging anyone anymore, and we can all I don't know.
Yeah, I know. That's all right. Let me change topics. We're talking again to Matthew Philbin. He is managing editor of Media Research Center's Culture and Media Institute. Here on the Steve Malzberg Show, about an hour and 15 minutes from now, they will convene at the Boy Scouts of America and eventually vote tonight. At least they're supposed to, on whether or not to lift the ban on openly gay Scout members. Now, they're not going to touch the ban on openly gay Scout masters. So even to some who I've already heard from, that even if they do lift this ban on openly gay Scouts, it won't be enough because you're not going to allow an openly gay Scout master. So let me ask you this. If they vote to hold and abide by the Supreme Court case that they won 10 years ago and keep the ban, what will be the repercussions in the media tonight and tomorrow morning?
The campaign will go on. This is the long hike. It's been 13 years since the Supreme Court upheld the Scouts' essentially right to assemble.
Right, freedom of association. Absolutely. Yep, freedom of association. Yep.
And it's been a 13-year campaign ever since. Look, Peter Jennings was agitating for the Scouts to do away with the ban when he was still alive. It's a project of the media. They cannot stand the idea that there is a group out there that does not believe like they do, and there is a group that actually adheres to some sort of standard, and particularly as it goes with the whole gay agenda. And, certainly CNN has been all over this, and they are constantly having former gay Scoutmasters on, former gay Scouts on, et cetera, to essentially agitate and say that the Scouts should join the 21st century.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you say the fight will go on. I just, I also, I guess, was looking to get from you, probably we're very like-minded, that the media will just blast the Boy Scouts as if they were the Catholic Church, and they'll show no mercy starting in the morning if the vote doesn't go the way they want it to go.
Well, that's absolutely right. And if the vote does go the way they want it to go,
it still won't be good enough.
It will not be good
enough.
And that will be the next front.
Right,
because
right.
They do not want to stop at acceptance. They want full embrace. They want full celebration. And what the Scouts are trying to do with this compromise is say, well, maybe if we don't have gay Scoutmasters, there won't be gay activism going on in the Scouts. We can just accept gay Scouts for who they are. But the problem is that's not good enough for activists. So, activists never want to stop short of anything.
Well, I've often said, Matt, and I'll leave you with this, that the people, and I don't believe that the gay activists in this country, from the gay groups that we know of, and the people we hear from, I don't believe they represent the majority of gays in this country. Like, I don't believe, the so-called black activists over the years, the Sharptons and the Jacksons, represent a majority of blacks in this country. I don't believe that at all. So having said that, and as a preface, let me just say that these gay activists and the atheist activists, who I don't believe represent most atheists, they demand 100% total tolerance and acceptance, yet they exhibit none.
Absolutely.
That's what I'll leave you with that. Hey, Matt, thank you, sir. Pleasure talking to you. We'll talk again.
Great talking with you.
Thank you. That's Matt Philbin, ladies and gentlemen, managing editor at the Media Research Center's Culture and Media Institute. We will take you to the Institute. I had to say that. I don't know what it means, but I had to say that. It's interesting. And you mark my word. You mark my word already. The media today, I was listening to various reports, and they had on one of the, I forget, it's one of the guys who spearheaded the lawsuit in the first place. He was a Scout. He was dismissed because he was gay. And already in anticipation that the Scouts may lift the ban on gay members, but of course they're not doing it for gay Scoutmasters, that won't be good enough. So we already know the stage is set. And I just think I find the whole thing absurd. If you're gay as a man and you want to be a Scoutmaster, why do you have to let the Scouts know you're gay? I mean, you want to announce I'm gay and I'm your Scoutmaster? Is that what you want to tell the kids? For what purpose? I don't get it. Unless there's an agenda. You're a man. They're boys. You're interested in scouting. They're interested in scouting. Be their scoutmaster. What's the point of making it known to them that you're gay? Are you going to open up about every aspect of your life? I mean, everything you believe, everything you do, everything you have, your political philosophies, your monetary, fiscal policies. I mean, what's the point other than to promote an agenda? I just, I don't get it. I mean, I do get it. I do get it, and it's sad. But the Scouts are on their own here. The Scouts are going to lose a lot of support from current Scouts and future prospective Scouts if they change their policy tonight. They have the Supreme Court decision backing them. They fought hard for that, and I believe it's a right decision, freedom of association. And the Boy Scouts are going to have a tough time either way, no matter what they decide. But if they're true to themselves, I think they should decide to keep their policy and let the chips fall where they may. I believe a lot of religious institutions and private groups and private contributors will make up for the loss of funding from corporations that will cave to the pressure from the radical left. My opinion. I was a Cub Scout, and obey the law of the pack. The law of the pack. And then you go on and on. I was a Cub Scout for a couple of years. I think somewhere I have my Cub Scout uniform, somewhere in the attic. I really do. Maybe one day I'll come in, I'll hold it up for you, if they make the right decision. All right, my opinion, and isn't that what it's all about? Hey, we're coming back. Steve Malzberg right here. One final segment left in the second hour of the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Obama wants your money, and he's determined to get it. He wants your money to buy off unions, his Wall Street cronies, and to expand the Obama welfare nation. Well, Swiss America is determined to stop him from stealing your money. They want to send you an award-winning film, I Want Your Money, on DVD that exposes his plan. It'll help keep the government's hands off your money using gold, silver, and other hard asset strategies to protect your hard-earned money. Call today and request the DVD, I Want Your Money, normally $19.95, yours absolutely free. Let Swiss America show you how to use gold, silver, and other hard assets to protect your hard-earned money. Call now. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907. Call Swiss America right now. Learn all about investing in gold. 800-978-3907. That's 800-978-3907. Call right now. Health insurance is on everybody's mind right now. You either don't have it or you have it and you think it's too expensive. And you probably feel like you don't have any options. We can help. We are InSphere Insurance Solutions. We offer health insurance plans from major carriers nationwide and likely have a plan that can save you money. Whether you're self-employed, on a COBRA plan that's about to expire, or you simply don't have health insurance where you work and you need it, InSphere Insurance Solutions can help you. Our agents will help you find coverage you can afford. InSphere Insurance Solutions is an authorized agency in all 50 states, including the District of Columbia. Plans may not be available in all states. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325.
Newsmax Magazine is proud to present a special tribute to our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's a very special documentary and commemorative issue of Newsmax Magazine celebrating the centennial of President Reagan's birth. First, here's a video clip from the award-winning documentary, Rendezvous with Destiny.
We're in the midst of a springtime of hope for America.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Impulses of an evil empire.
Tear down this wall.
I believe that together we can keep this rendezvous with destiny.
In the next several minutes, you will learn things about President Ronald Reagan that you've never seen, heard, or read before. Welcome to today's special Newsmax event celebrating the life and legacy of President Reagan. During this historic presentation, we will commemorate President Reagan's storied life. We'll revisit his 2 terms in office and recollect his proudest achievements and greatest challenges. Ronald Reagan's life reads like a fairy tale of success stories. He was an accomplished athlete, an honored veteran, a famous actor, the governor of California, and of course, our nation's 40th president.
He called himself a citizen politician and only entered politics when he warned government was gaining too much power. By then he was age 54, with a successful career behind him. Twice elected President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan was a contradiction to some. Once a Democrat, then a Republican. A champion of smaller government whose own government grew. A fiscal conservative who failed to balance the budget. His critics mistook his affability for weakness, but behind the smile and the charm existed an extraordinary leader with unique skills and bold and revolutionary ideas.
We only had time to share just a few of the top defining moments in Ronald Reagan's presidency, but you'll get to see them all in Rendezvous with Destiny. By the way, the president's close relationship with the Pope is especially fascinating. You'll also learn how dealing with an alcoholic father helped shape Reagan's ability to negotiate. And if you ever wondered what the leader of the free world likes to get for the holidays, well, you'll find that out as well. So let's review today in this free offer. We are sending you a copy of Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, and the collector's limited edition of our issue commemorating the 100th anniversary of President Reagan's birth.
Right now, when you subscribe to Newsmax magazine, you can own both the DVD and receive the special Reagan 100th birthday commemorative edition. That's $25 in bonus gifts when you subscribe. Go to newsmax.com/Reagan13 to subscribe today. Join the millions who read Newsmax magazine every month.
Microphones hot. Satellite established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream. Is streaming. The most technology advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
I'm the captain. I am indeed the captain. And I could be beamed aboard any time I desire. 2 or 3, because the light is on 3. Okay. All right. No problem. Just checking. In the next hour, Richard Perle, ladies and gentlemen. Resident fellow for the American Enterprise Institute and former Assistant Secretary of Defense will join us to discuss what Barack Obama had to say and also weigh in on the terrorist attack yesterday in London. Good news. I was just seeing a statement by House Speaker John Boehner. Remember him? House Speaker John Boehner? Oh, yeah, I seem to recall. I know who he is. He says the Senate version of immigration reform is DOA. It will not be brought up on the floor of the House. They will bring up and debate their own version of the bill. I got to tell you, as much as I'm against all of it for the most part, thank God he said that because, you know, that Senate bill, we still don't know what's in the Senate bill yet. You know, you got to pass it before you know what's in it. But there's some horrific things in that Senate bill. And I'm just glad that Boehner has said something. I hope this doesn't get passed. It's suicide for Republicans. How many times do I, Steve Malzberg, have to tell you Republican leaders out there and the leadership out there that this is suicide for us? I'm so sick of hearing that, you know, the Hispanic community, you know, the only way to win favor with the Hispanic community and get back some of the votes is by passing this baloney. And you're only setting yourself up for decades because these millions and millions and tens of millions of people that are eventually going to become voters are going to be Democrat also. And, you know, we need it for our economy. We do. We needed these people to come out of the shadows, and that's going to help our economy, bringing more people in for high-skilled jobs, more people in for low-skilled jobs. We already don't have enough jobs for people. The whole thing is, to me, makes no sense whatsoever on any level. So I hope Boehner, I hope the Republicans, somewhere, some Republican is tough on this, and we don't get immigration reform passed, at least not anywhere near its present form. Nowhere near its present form. Okay. We're coming back. Former Defense Secretary, Assistant Defense Secretary Richard Perle. Don't go away.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
My patients still don't know what Obamacare means for them. And how could they? There are already 13,000 pages of regulations, and the bureaucrats are just getting started. Obamacare will change your health care, and you need to understand how. There are hidden taxes and fines, big cuts in Medicare, even new regulations on what services doctors can offer you. Some businesses could get hit with a 40% additional tax on your health care plan. Please, get the Obamacare Survival Guide today. It's the best book explaining the new law. It's easy to read, everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere.
Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
If your prostate is giving you problems and your doc says it's just part of getting older, be wary. Renowned physician and author Dr. David Brownstein thinks this is baloney. He's discovered a link between aging and prostate health and believes prostate concerns do not have to be an inevitable part of aging. That's why he created Prostate Revive.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Brownstein. I personally formulated Prostate Revive to include the most essential natural ingredients available to help promote a healthy prostate gland and optimal urinary function.
The producers of Dr. Brownstein's Prostate Revive are so thrilled with the positive feedback from satisfied customers that for a limited time, they are willing to send you your first month's supply free. Plus, call now and you'll also receive Dr. Brownstein's special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. For details on getting your free bottle, call 1-800-596-REVIVE. That's 1-800-596-REVIVE. Take control with Prostate Revive. Call now while supplies last to claim your risk-free bottle at 1-800-596-REVIVE.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. A major speech from President Obama today about national security and also perhaps a major shift in the way drones are going to be used. This all comes as the White House confirms for the first time that unmanned aircraft have killed 4 American citizens who were not criminally charged. In a letter to Congress, Attorney General Eric Holder defended the killing of American-born al-Qaeda leader Anwar al-Awlaki without giving too many details, saying only that al-Awlaki and 3 other Americans killed in similar attacks were not specifically targeted. Today's speech is aimed at making good on the president's promise of more transparency in drone strikes, and it's expected to signal an end to so-called signature strikes like the ones that killed these 4 Americans. Also, control of the government's drone program will eventually move from the CIA over to the Defense Department, but since most of the program remains classified, the president was not very specific how that will happen. And following her defiant statement in which she said she did nothing wrong and her Fifth Amendment plea, IRS Director Lois Lerner remains in charge of the service's healthcare division. But she will have to come back to the House Oversight Committee to face questions about what she knew about the targeted scrutiny of conservative groups. Congressman Darrell Issa, chairman of that committee, made that decision after this plea from South Carolina Congressman Trey Gowdy.
She just testified. She just waived her Fifth Amendment right to privilege. You don't get to tell your side of the story and then not be subjected to cross-examination. She ought to stand here and answer our questions.
Also, President Obama will see the Oklahoma tornado damage firsthand when he visits there on Sunday. Meanwhile, Homeland Security Secretary Janet Napolitano was there yesterday. We now know that among the 24 people killed, 10 of them were children, and 13,000 homes were either damaged or destroyed in these tornadoes. The total cost of this disaster could be at least $2 billion. And coming up next on your Newsmax Now update, new questions about the London terror attack yesterday. A British soldier beheaded in the middle of the street. But what did authorities know about the suspect before this horrific event? Plus, a Newsmax exclusive with Carl Rove on the unprecedented investigation of a Fox News reporter by the Justice Department. Next.
Have you ever wondered how you could make a difference in someone's life? What if you could help hundreds or even thousands of children? Students in the U.S. rank 32nd in world math skills. It's time for our children to catch up. Become an owner of one of the world's fastest growing franchises, Mathnasium. Mathnasium is the leading math-only learning center in the U.S. Imagine helping hundreds, even thousands of students in your community improve in school and raise their self-esteem. Call us at 800-676-5216. 800-676-5216.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
And welcome back. The man killed by the FBI in Florida yesterday was a friend of Boston bombing suspect Tamerlan Tsarnaev. Ibragim Todashayev used to train with Tsarnaev at a Boston area gym. Law enforcement sources now say that both have been involved, or may have been rather, involved in a triple murder near Boston back in 2011. But as of yet, investigators say there is no direct evidence linking Todashev to the Boston bombings. The FBI wanted to talk to him after phone records suggested a connection to Tsarnaev, but investigators say Todashev pulled out his knife during questioning at his Orlando apartment, and that is why he ended up getting shot and killed. And British leaders are holding emergency talks today after two men stabbed a British soldier to death, beheading him on a London street. Both suspects are now in the hospital under armed guard. One of them shouted Islamic slogans and said British soldiers must die because they are killing Muslims. Police later shot and wounded that man and the other suspect. Both are thought to be British citizens with links to Nigeria and were apparently known by authorities. Investigators will also be looking into links to extremist groups and a possible specific trigger for this murder. And security has also been stepped up at British military bases. And during a Newsmax exclusive, Karl Rove, a former advisor to President George W. Bush, says the administration's surveillance and investigation of Fox News reporter James Rosen may well be unprecedented.
I'm sympathetic to wanting to discover the leak of confidential or classified government information. But heretofore, at least in the last several decades, when those kind of things happen, the focus of whatever administration was in office was on the leaker, not the journalist who received the information.
And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for May the 23rd. I'm John Bachman. Now here's the Steve Malzberg Show in New York.
Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
And finally, we face a real threat from radicalized individuals here in the United States. Whether it's a shooter at a Sikh temple in Wisconsin, a plane flying into a building in Texas, or the extremists who killed 168 people at the federal building in Oklahoma City. America's confronted many forms of violent extremism in our history. Deranged or alienated individuals, often U.S. citizens or legal residents, can do enormous damage, particularly when inspired by larger notions of violent jihad. And that pull towards extremism appears to have led to the shooting at Fort Hood and the bombing of the Boston Marathon.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hour number 3 of the Steve Malzberg Show. That was the president in his security speech earlier today. We're joined right now by Richard Perle, resident fellow for the American Enterprise Institute for Public Policy Research, former Assistant Secretary of Defense, of course, and also part of the movie The Third Jihad, which you could watch and learn about the radicalization in Islam by going to the website, which is thirdjihad.org. And Mr. Perle, welcome back to the show, sir.
Thank you. Pleasure to be with you.
All right, you heard the cut, I presume, that we played of the president just now coming in, and he talked about how we've had deranged people in this country commit acts of terror, and he specifically mentions the shooting at the Sikh temple. He mentions the man who flew the plane into the IRS building, or the IRS the floor where they were located in a building in Texas, and of course Oklahoma City, Timothy McVeigh, without mentioning him by name. And in the so that to me is one issue. Same breath almost, he talks about how it becomes more complicated when jihad's involved. So he did acknowledge jihad, and then he goes to Fort Hood and says that that's apparently what happened there. Yet the folks. That incident was classified as a place of workplace violence. So he's all over the place with that. Just that little 30-second bite. What do you make of it all?
Well, I think there's a great deal of confusion. You're quite right. And in failing to recognize, which I think it's important we do, that unlike these other incidents, isolated, non-ideological, if you will, there is a sustained ideology behind Islamist jihad. And until we recognize that, we're not going to find approaches to dealing effectively with it. There's no question that the Hassan shooting was motivated by convictions, ideological convictions that were cultivated over a period of time. And so many of the other acts of violence that we've seen share that characteristic. It's time to face that reality.
It may be time to face the reality, absolutely, but do you, based on what the president had to say today, that the war must end? It's what our democracy demands. How we have to look to other nations where the radicalization takes place over there and look at the causes, and he called it poverty and lack of entrepreneurism, and we have to fix that, and lack of education. Again, the same old tired interpretation, misunderstanding, only I don't think he misunderstands it, but he presents himself as misunderstanding, or maybe a better word is ignoring the realities of why these people who do become radicalized.
Well, poverty, of course, doesn't hold up, because most of the acts that we're concerned about came not from people who were impoverished, but indeed were anything but impoverished. A colonel in the U.S. Army is hardly impoverished, nor does poverty seem to be an inspiration for jihad. The 9/11 hijackers included people from the middle class. The famous beheading of a Wall Street Journal reporter, Daniel Perle, middle class. It's a mistake to think that poverty is the source of this. It's an ideology, and people are recruited into the ideology, often over a long period of time. So we've got to recognize that, because until we recognize it, as I say, we won't develop successful ways of combating it.
I do want to get back to what you just said and talk about the London attacks as well, and the beheading there as well. But I do want to, in your former capacity, certainly as Assistant Secretary of Defense, the President spent, it was the end of the speech, he kind of built up to it as a crescendo and finished with closing Gitmo, and that prompted a heckler who was actually a heckler from the left, saying he didn't do it fast enough or good or well enough. Closing Guantanamo Bay, transferring some of the prisoners to Yemen, which is hardly any kind of government that we could count on keeping those prisoners locked up in, at least in my view. What's your take on the whole Gitmo controversy?
Well, it's such a marginal issue with respect to the threat that we're facing from radical jihad. Whether it's open or closed is, for everyone except Obama and the people that he promised he was going to close it, a relatively small issue. The reason why it's still open is that nobody has been able to figure out what to do with these people. And nobody wants to be responsible for returning them into a situation where they can again take up arms against the United States. There's a real issue there and a real dilemma. And Obama discovered that after becoming president. But to think that at this stage this is the fundamental issue is just nonsense. He's talking to a constituency, not to the country, and he's addressing the problems of a constituency and not the problems of the country.
You don't buy into this, that Gitmo is a symbol, that is a recruiting tool for terrorists around the world. You don't buy that, do you?
Haven't seen any evidence of it. People say it from time to time. There may have been an element of truth in the idea that Abu Ghraib was a tool for recruitment because it was so shocking. But Gitmo, I do not believe there is any evidence to show has increased the number of terrorists. What it has done is it's enabled us to keep some terrorists from being returned to situations where they might well again take up arms.
We're talking to Richard Perle, former Assistant Secretary of Defense and now a resident fellow for the American Enterprise Institute, also part of a very informative movie that I urge everyone to check out, The Third Jihad, which you could check out at the website, thirdjihad.org. Your take on yesterday's terror attack in London. These are two terrorists who were under surveillance, or at least on the radar for the British authorities. And, you know, what we saw was kind of unprecedented. If you do harken back to Daniel Perle, of course, that was recorded for Internet use. But this terrorist, after he beheaded the soldier, you know, took to the cameras and talked and gave a message. He had the bloody hands. He had the axe. The whole thing is kind of unprecedented in the aftermath of a terrorist attack. Talk about the significance of what happened yesterday.
Well, I think the British have a particular problem, which is a very large Anglo-Pakistani population, elements of which have been radicalized. Not all. I mean, one always has to say that the numbers of people who have chosen this course is small, but enough to do a great deal of damage. And the man who murdered Daniel Perle was from that Anglo-Pakistani community, an affluent family, as it happens, and he was recruited into the way of jihad, as this young killer evidently was yesterday. For some reason, the British have been very slow to clamp down on the mosques where jihad and violent jihad is routinely preached. And other countries complain bitterly about it. The French, for example, complain that the Brits allow this sermonizing that then produces radicalization that has to be dealt with in other countries, not just in the United Kingdom. So it's high time that they, again, face the fact that there is a system of recruitment into acts of violence in the name of a radical Islamist vision or ideology, and pretending that isn't there is not the way to deal with it.
And, of course, we found out recently the FBI had to shoot a suspect in the triple murder along with the two Boston bombing brothers. Supposedly he admitted before he was killed that he and the two brothers did the triple homicide a couple years ago on a 9/11 anniversary. And again there, it was made to look like a robbery. It wasn't. We don't know exactly what the motivation was, but we can guess because the throats were slit from end to end in an attempt to, you know, to kind of sever the heads there too.
Yes. Well, that is the prescribed method of murder, according to some extremist cliques. Look, we will not come to grips with this until we face it. And there is such a reluctance to face it because it is feared, I think wrongly, that it is somehow an indictment of the millions of Muslims who have not been persuaded to join this path. This battle has to be fought out within the Muslim community, and what's missing here, I'm sorry to say, is American Muslims taking up arms against the extremists. There are too many Muslim organizations that are inclined to defend the extremists or accuse people who are prepared to talk about them as Islamophobic. And that has to change. The American Muslim community, which is predominantly, overwhelmingly decent and well integrated into this country, needs to stand up and oppose those within their midst who are committing these acts and propagating this radical vision.
Richard Perle, thank you so much, sir. I look forward to talking to you again.
All the best.
Appreciate it. Richard Perle, former Assistant Secretary of Defense, resident fellow, American Enterprise Institute. And check out the movie The Third Jihad at at thirdjihad.org. thirdjihad.org. It's frightening. And the president did refer to the Muslim American community today. He kind of blamed us. He said that we have to work with the Muslim community in this country. We have to recognize that Muslims are a fundamental part of the American family, as if we're not. As if we're persecuting Muslims. As if we have to stop persecuting Muslims. Because, I mean, if we were, we should. We're not. We're not persecuting Muslims. And we're not Islamophobes if we talk about these things. And that's the problem. That's part of the problem. And there has been much criticism of the American Muslim community that they're not forthcoming. You have many Muslim American groups who advise their constituencies not to cooperate with the FBI. Here's all you have to say. Here's what you don't have to say. Don't answer these questions. So far from being cooperative, and in great part, we have Muslim American groups that call themselves civil rights groups, whether they are or not is another story, telling their constituencies very often, here's how you don't cooperate. Don't talk to the FBI. Don't do this. Yet the president today says that the Muslim American community, they're out there, they're fighting, radical Islam. They're pointing people out. I wish that were the case. I wish that were the case. But I don't think it is the case quite enough. All right, we're going to come back at the bottom of the hour. Noelle Nickpour, columnist at the Sun Sentinel, Republican strategist. You regularly see her on Fox News. She will join us. She will be sitting right here live in the studio. And I'm sure you much will rather look at her as opposed to me when she is here. So keep looking at me until she gets here. And we'll talk about that with her. But, hey, there's something out there, and this is a very interesting story about who's more likely to develop mental illness, men or women? And we'll tell you about it when we come back right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
You've heard the allegations on the news, and during the big game, pro football players have been using deer antler velvet to get a competitive edge. Banned at the London Games for its performance-enhancing qualities. Forbidden in major sports leagues for being an unfair advantage to athletes. Deer antler velvet is now in stock and available to try for free for a limited time only. Athletes have been using it for years for increased strength, increased endurance, muscle mass stress reduction, and yes, greatly enhanced libido. Everyone's talking about this miracle substance so powerful, it's being banned by professional sports organizations, but for a limited time, it's being made available to the general public. Best of all, you can try it for free by calling 800-678-5153. That's right, get Superior Velvet for free. If you're looking to boost your performance on the field and between the sheets, get the most powerful, proven product used by athletes for years now for free. Claim your free bottle today by calling 800-678-5153. That's 800-678-5153. Again, 800-678-5153.
Hello, my name is Fred Fleitz, and I'm the managing editor of Lignet. You've probably seen our name preceding some of the stories you read on Newsmax or heard Lignet referenced on Fox News, C-SPAN, or CNN. Perhaps you've asked yourself, what is Lignet? Lignet is an acronym for the Langley Intelligence Group Network, a private Washington, D.C. based service that provides global intelligence, in-depth analysis, and detailed forecasting. Lignet's staff and advisors include former CIA officers, national security experts, presidential advisors, and top-level government officials from around the world. I myself held several national security posts for the U.S. government during my 25-year career with the Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the U.S. Department of State, and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Our lead advisor is General Michael Hayden, the former director of the CIA. He is joined by former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations John Bolton and former chairman of the National Intelligence Council and Special Assistant to President Ronald Reagan Fritz Ehrmann, former U.S. Ambassador to Venezuela Otto Reich, and former clandestine service officer Frederick Russman. Former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee Peter Hoekstra also joined our advisory board staff. Every day, our goal is to use our expertise, our resources, and our worldwide staff to take the pulse of the ever-changing political and economic landscape and the threats we face on a daily basis. Whether you are following global events for your portfolio or business, or just interested in the world around you, LigNet provides what you need to know to keep up with global events. There are many. Every day, LigNet members receive the Morning Brief, a daily email that provides summaries and links to our daily analysis to keep you up to date on LigNet's assessments. LigNet members receive unrestricted access to LigNet's secure database of global analysis. All of our special reports, previous analyses, and exclusive video interviews with intelligence insiders are available to members 24 hours a day. But you also get top-notch analysis that resembles the President's Daily Brief, the classified intelligence assessment delivered to the President of the United States every morning. LigNet also sends breaking news emails to our membership list. If there is a development of global proportions or a terror alert, our subscribers are always the first to know. I hope you now have a better understanding of what LigNet is, but more importantly, recognize how truly it can be. As the old saying goes, knowledge is power.
Join LigNet for $1. Go to lignet.com.
Are you tired of the insanity in talk radio? Well, there's a new voice during the afternoon. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
Along with the announcer. I don't have as good a voice as the announcer, but I could do it. Hey, you know what just came to my mind? I was watching CNN last night, yesterday afternoon, early evening, whatever, and they did a report. It was a package, pre-recorded, whatever. And the guy, one of the guys being interviewed in the package said BS, but only he didn't say BS. He said it all, and they let it go on the air. They didn't cut it out of the package. Unless I'm out of my mind. Okay, you know, we do take calls on this show. We don't take very many, but we take them from time to time. 855-777-9660. 855-777-9660. We have George in Tampa, Florida. And, you know, I was telling the control room, George, that if the late George Steinbrenner was still alive, I might have thought it was him. But anyway, go ahead, sir.
Yes, your guest who you just interviewed talked about that we need to have an honest conversation with some of the American Muslims that are not radicalized without being accused of being Islamophobic. And that struck me that we've been trying to do that for so long in our country with race issues. It's still happening. So if we're waiting for that in the Muslim community, I think it's going to be just as long.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, it's tough because you have a media, but right now you have an administration that won't let you say certain words, that won't let the FBI train and look for certain things. That's why the proper questions couldn't be asked of the brother that was interviewed before the Boston bombing by the FBI. Their hands are tied. We're tying our hands as a nation. We're tying our hands, and we need those hands to combat what we're facing. We're not recognizing that it's out there. We're not willing to admit as a nation that it's out there. I think most of us know it's out there, but our leadership tells us if you say it's out there, then you're an Islamophobe. So I think in that regard, you're right. Did George disappear? Look at it. George, you know, 1 minute he's here, and one... Now, let me ask you a question. I'm all over the place. Brad Pitt claims that he has face blindness. He doesn't recognize or remember faces. He has face blind. I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. So Brad Pitt maybe I have face blindness. And he's going to go get checked out or something like who knew there was such a thing? I know color blindness, but face, I mean, poor memory, can't remember someone's name, or you're not good with that. You don't, but not being able to recognize faces, if that's true, man, is he missing out. I mean, imagine having Angelina Jolie as your wife. Are they married? As your wife, and you can't recognize faces? That's really not good. And not to mention Jennifer Aniston before her, or as a girlfriend anyway. All right, what do I know? I don't know anything. We'll get to that story about whether men or women are more likely to develop mental illness a little bit later on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention, if you've been classified as a high-risk driver due to DUI, DWI, or tickets for aggressive driving and are required to get expensive and hard-to-find SR22 auto insurance, then you must listen to this message because we can help. We're the largest insurance company in the U.S. specializing in SR22 auto insurance and focused on serving the needs of customers classified by the state as high-risk drivers. We help people get back on their feet by providing easy-to-get, low-cost SR22 insurance that anyone can afford. If you need SR22 auto insurance, or if you have it now and are paying too much, you need to call us today for your free quote at 800-836-4606. Our specialists are standing by waiting for your call. We understand people make mistakes, and we're here to help by making SR22 insurance easy to get and affordable for everyone. The call and quote are free. Call us now at 800-836-4606. That's 800-836-4606. Again, 800-836-4606.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency. Do you know the #1 cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs. Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-910-3470. That's 1-800-910-3470. Call 1-800-910-3470.
Are payday loans ruining your life? If you have 2 or more payday loan cash advances, listen closely. You may be eligible for a program that payday loan companies don't want you to know about.
This program will get payday loan companies out of your bank account and put an end to the payday loan nightmare. Call for free information and find out if Payday Loan Support Center is right for you. Payday loan companies usually trap you into paying rates as high as 700%. We understand payday lenders' tactics. Don't let them take advantage of you anymore. All you need is 2 or more payday loans to qualify. We can help even if you're behind in collections or have bad credit.
Internet payday loans qualify for this program as well. So call 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. The call is free and the consultation is free. Don't miss out. Call for your free information on payday loan relief. 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. Again, 800-250-5084.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really?
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Yes. How come we didn't play the one that says I'm the captain of the ship? I feel very very let down. All right, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show, folks. Final half hour of the Thursday edition, and we're joined right now live in studio. If you watch Fox, you see her all the time, and she is columnist at the Sun Sentinel, Republican strategist, and author of a great new book, Branding America. And we say hello to Noelle Nickpour. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Great
She's from Arkansas, so she's going to talk funny. I mean, I say that to all of you New Yorkers and, people like me, but around the country, she probably doesn't sound too funny.
Why did you do that to me? You know they would have never figured that one out.
No, it took me a while to figure it out, Did they still have the Confederate flag that, Bill Clinton signed Confederate flag? No, Bill Clinton signed Confederate Flag Day into law back when he was governor, and the media never, ever mentioned that because he's Bill Clinton. Yet South Carolina, Confederate flag. So I'm wondering, is the flag still flying proudly over the State House?
No, I do not think the Confederate flag. No, I don't think we have the Confederate flag.
I just want to check that out.
A lot of razz about that, but thanks for bringing that up.
And
right off the box.
It's a more knock at Bill Clinton, not Arkansas. I love Arkansas. I love Mike Huckabee. He's from Arkansas.
He's great. He's awesome. Great governor.
So I know 3 people from Arkansas. Well, Hillary makes 4. So you're split. You and Mike, Bill and Hill. So I'm split down the middle.
Well, hey, we may have a Hillary 2016 ticket. And by the way, the airport in Arkansas in Little Rock was renamed instead of the Clinton Airport.
The Jennifer Flowers Airport?
No, oh my gosh, the Monica Lewinsky. No, that's why I'm wearing the blue dress. No, it was called.
I'm not going to say what I was going to say. You know what I was going to say.
Do not go there.
Thank you. Okay.
You can if you want off.
No, off the air, not here.
No, it's called the Hillary and Bill Clinton
Airport.
That's
That's the real name of it now?
Why didn't they just leave it the Clinton International Airport? Why they call it international from Little Rock,
Could I say something?
Who knows?
Okay. Present company excluded. It's I'm not that shocked that Arkansas would do that. It just speaks volumes about Arkansas.
Well, you know what? Guess what? If you look down here, I am wearing shoes. So the myth is not true. We're all educated. We do wear shoes.
I can't look down there because it would look bad on TV if I'm looking down there now. I mean, anyway, after the show as well.
Perfect.
Anyway, okay, so let's talk about politics. You remember politics?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, okay. We have a guy named here in New York. I call him Little Anthony Weiner. I feel the same way you do. But here's the thing, okay? He's running for mayor. It's official now. He was out greeting people today, etc. His whole thing in the aftermath was, I can't believe what I did to my wife. And Uma Abedin is a whole nother story. But my wife, I shamed her. I feel bad. But blah, 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 blah. My wife, I love my wife. Yet he said today, and he said about a month ago, and I've been playing these sound bites for a month, and now it was reinforced today. He said it to Brian Lair. He can't guarantee there's not another woman out there with more pictures of his crotch. So if that's the case, why is he doing this if he's worried about his wife? One more picture, it's going to start all over again.
Number one, I'm not a fan of Anthony Weiner's. I think
shocked.
that he was very arrogant. He was arrogant when he was on television.
Oh my gosh.
He has kind of a sense of entitlement. It took everyone pleading with him to get him to resign when he was in office of all the junk that he did when Breitbart had discovered the photos.
Yep.
Let me tell you something else. Why would you, after you have been disgraced, wait it hadn't been that much longer, and get out, Steve, and run for office, run for mayor? Why does he deserve something so coveted as that? As Michael Bloomberg, Rudy Giuliani, you would give this guy and
Did you just mention Michael Bloomberg and Rudy Giuliani in the same breath? Oh my God, that's not good.
Well, they're two accomplished guys. Like them or not, they're
one's
very
a nanny
controversial.
and one's a great hero.
Now, I used to work for Rudy Giuliani. Actually,
I like Rudy.
When he ran for president, I handled 18 states.
You're to blame for that one.
No,
you kept him out of the primaries, the early primaries.
I think that I think that Rudy Giuliani would have been the only person that could have potentially beat Barack Obama in that race. I really do. But I think on Anthony Weiner, we are getting ready to find out. On my book, I wrote Branding America. It's about branding and people's brands, and we're about to find out if Anthony Weiner, has got a Teflon brand. Bill Clinton, people actually look for him to endorse their campaigns. He has a Teflon brand. I don't think Anthony Weiner is going to have one.
No, and it's funny because Anthony Weiner is a Democrat. And you're right, it was his arrogance and his even when he resigned. And by the way, Breitbart, may he rest in peace, Andrew Breitbart was on a plane when Weiner resigned. And I had them on right off the plane, and I played the soundbite where they were shouting at Weiner, hey, pervert, or whatever they were shouting at, and Breitbart loved it. But the point is, I lost my train of thought. No, the point is, it was like he won an election when he was resigning. I want to thank my parents, and I'm like, what? You should be apologizing to your parents on the floor. Anyway, but my point is,
he needs to apologize for his dad for not making him a little bit more well-endowed than he was in those photos. What? I said it,
Usually, and we're talking, by the way, to Noel Nickpour, columnist on Sentinel, author of Branding America, Republican strategist here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Usually, if you're a Democrat, look, here's the thing. When the congressman, whose name always escapes me, made the rape remark before the Republican convention.
Oh, that was that stupid guy, Todd Akin.
The media ran with it, the Democrats ran with it, and the whole Republican convention was defined as the party of that condones rape. Bill Clinton, sexual assault, accused of rape, exposed himself, the dress, the whole thing. He was the keynote at the Democratic convention, and they bowed to him. So how is that possible?
That's what I'm telling you, Steve. He has a Teflon brand. Nothing sticks on him.
Because he's a Democrat.
No, I don't think so, because Anthony Weiner...
Yeah, I know, but he's an arrogant Democrat.
He is arrogant, but look at someone like John Edwards. That guy, he certainly didn't have a Teflon brand. Look what he did. He was very scandalous, but in the realm of things, Bill Clinton was a real dog. And someone else that's battling with that outside of politics is someone like Tiger Woods. Bless that guy's heart trying to make a comeback in golf. Can't get anything right after his scandal.
But he is coming back.
He finally is.
He is coming back. I mean, poor guy. He lost how many of his billions of dollars? My heart bleeds. By the way, I cry for Tiger Woods every night, just so you know that.
Really?
Absolutely.
Well, I need to talk to you.
Yeah,
then.
It just breaks my heart what happened to poor Tiger. By the way, what do you think of? Are you following the Garcia Tiger Woods feud with the words and Garcia saying that if he would serve fried chicken to Tiger? You heard about that?
That's
thing?
Silly.
It's crazy.
That's very silly.
All right, we'll go somewhere else. All right, so immigration reform.
Yeah.
I was so heartened to hear John Boehner, who I don't have a lot of use for, because say the Senate bill, the immigration bill, which hasn't really gotten past the Senate yet, is dead. We're not even going to talk about that bill in the House. We're going to talk about our own bill. I just think it's such a mistake. I'd love to hear how you feel. To me, it's such a lose-lose proposition. Hispanic Americans in this country are concerned about jobs, and they're concerned about Republican conservative principles that we share with them, and they have to be. It has to be made known to them that they share those same things with us: jobs, education, family values, marriage sanctity, all that. They share that with us. Immigration reform is down on their list. You're not going to win Hispanic support. Then the millions of Hispanics who do wind up becoming citizens, both that are here now and that will be welcomed in, tens of millions, they'll be Democratic voters. They'll vote Democrat. It's a lose-lose for the Republicans. And no matter how far they go on immigration reform, they're not going to go all the way. So right when they sign it, the president signs it, Chuck Schumer will take to the microphone and say, we wanted to give Hispanics this, but these evil Republicans wouldn't let us. So it's a lose, lose, lose. That's my opinion.
There's so many. It's a catch-22.
I want you to tell me I'm wrong. Go ahead.
I'm not going to tell you
Batter me. Go ahead, tell me.
I'm not, but I am going to tell you that I feel that it's not all dismal. I don't think it's all, the GOP, we have a branding problem. Believe me. Look at the convention.
As you discuss in your book, Branding America.
Yeah, I mean, look at the convention.
Like the
we
plug?
look like.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Look at the convention, the Republican convention, and it looked like White Boy Express Country Club. Look at the Democratic convention.
Right. But there's nothing wrong with. You know what? Seriously.
But we need to change it. So we need to have.
But when
something.
we have elected officials who are Hispanic, like the great governor of New Mexico and others, the media tears them down and tears them apart as they're sellouts. They're not real.
Steve, look at the media. The majority of media is left wing. What do you expect them?
But the media has made when Susan Rice was in trouble.
Oh God.
Okay, it was they kept saying the optic of two old white guys. McCain and Graham going after Susan Rice, and all of a sudden now it's become acceptable to say white guys as if it's some kind of pejorative and terrible thing. That's acceptable now. I can't say that. I would never about two old black guys.
You'd be called racist.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm a little troubled when you say that the optics of the convention white people. Who cares? I mean, but we have enough elected officials that are Hispanic, that are black, that want to run. And when they run, they're torn apart for not being down with the cause or whatever the expression is.
I think a lot of that stems from the fact that what you're seeing in the media, what they're playing, like the Tea Party people, they have these images in their mind. Like when you think of a Tea Party person, you think of an older lady, older guy with a red, white, and blue tacky hat on with a big elephant.
Well, that's from
screaming.
the convention, yeah.
And that's not, you know, who the Republican. That's not who we are. We also, you know, at the CPAC, which I led a breakout panel on. There was a lot of controversy about the Go Proud people not being able to speak. So what do you think that looks again? Not only with the immigration, you know, not only with the anti-gay, you have so many things that where we look very narrow-minded.
But we're not anti-gay, and we're not.
No,
we're not.
That's what I'm trying to say. But we need to have a better spin on it.
But do the Democrats let in pro-life people at their conventions or their little equal of CPAC? No.
But the pro-life people don't want to go over there.
They were not. I remember dating way back Governor Casey of Pennsylvania, or Senator Casey, you know, the son, the father. I mean, he wanted to speak at the Democratic convention going way back, and they would never let him speak because he was pro-life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's on both sides.
Yeah.
So why would you bring, if it's against your platform and against your policy, why would you bring someone in to stand up there and talk about, you know, gay marriage when your policy is against gay marriage?
Well, speaking of gay marriage, one of the biggest arguments that I have is if everybody wants to keep this really fair, you know what we really should do away with the institution of marriage, make everyone abide by a civil union, and leave marriage up to the churches.
No, you can't do that.
Why is that not fair, Steve?
Because it's not fair, because marriage is the fiber that holds our society together.
Leave it up to the churches.
No, you can't do that, because
everyone have a civil union. Have it make a legal agreement between the states.
And do you want 3 people to marry? Do you want 4 people to marry? Do you want the kids to have 5 parents?
If the church says, I don't want to marry anyone with a man and a woman, that's up to the church.
There are lots of churches.
The argument lies within the church.
But there's no within the church. In other words, there are 7,000 churches, so each one will have their own rules.
That's
and
okay.
We'll play by everybody's rules.
That's okay.
And this family, all the adults are married in this family. Come on, you can't have run a society like that.
Yes, you can, because what you're trying to say is everyone can have a civil union. If I want to have a civil union with my BlackBerry, who I cannot be separated from, then I should do it.
No, then you're clouding the issue.
No,
completely.
because what if the Catholic Church doesn't want to marry my BlackBerry and I? Then they have the right to refuse it. Bingo.
Let me see your BlackBerry. I might want to marry it.
I have 2.
You have 2 BlackBerries? All right. I only have 1, and I have an old one. Real old BlackBerry. Okay. Everybody says you don't have an iPhone. I said no, I don't.
I don't either. We have a lot in common.
I'm telling you, it must be yourself. But no, seriously, you protect the sanctity of marriage. You say it's between a man and a woman, and anybody else you could have civil unions once you look.
But that's not the argument, Steve. Because if you give 2 gay people a civil union, they're saying, no, that's not good enough. We want marriage.
I know they're saying that.
They want marriage.
Okay.
But you have to look at the terms and the definition of marriage. It's a religious term.
No, but it's defined as between a man and a woman. It always has been.
Because it's based on a religious ceremony. It's a religious term.
To be content. Did you want Chris Christie at CPAC also?
I like Chris Christie so much. I was devastated.
He's my governor.
I was devastated that he was not speaking. That's not fair. Because some people say that he lost the election for Romney because he embraced Obama. He had no choice.
He did not have.
Yes, he did.
I live in Jersey.
He had no choice.
He had every choice in the world.
Come on,
he had
Steve,
Why did he have to praise him like that?
Steve. The state of New Jersey was in trouble.
Right.
I
want to thank President Obama for coming, blah, blah, blah.
He shouldn't have done
President Obama is the greatest. He's the greatest. On the eve of the election, look, when he spoke.
Do you really think that really changed the election, that people went out and voted for that?
I think the storm changed the election.
Why don't you look at the voter fraud that went on in Florida?
You don't have to convince me about that. I'm over that. But I think, let me tell you about Chris Christie. No, Chris Christie's not a conservative. I supported him.
He's a moderate.
Christie, he's not a moderate.
Yes, he is.
He's a fiscal conservative on some aspects of it.
Yes.
You know that the jobs numbers came out for all states, right? New Jersey is lagging way at the bottom. His policies aren't working. He is a liberal, social liberal on almost every issue you could think of. I'm telling you, he's been a big disappointment. I was a big supporter of his. He is not. He wouldn't condemn.
But Steve, a lot of leaders in the East are socially moderate.
Yeah,
goes with the territory.
But he'll never win the Republican nomination. He can't.
That may be so.
Too far to the left.
I may not argue with you on that
too far to the left.
But I don't think he's been a bad governor.
He's better than Corzine.
There you go.
And Corzine, I think, should be in jail somewhere.
Corzine is corrupt. It's about as corrupt as you can get.
Well, when
but
you
of
have
course,
a Justice
he's
Department like we do, you know, Corzine
Fast
walks
and Furious.
All right, listen, we only scratched the surface. So you're here you come in every 2 weeks?
Yes, sir.
Dare I invite you back?
Let's do it. Bring it on.
All right, now this time I'll have to look at the shoes before you come in, because don't ask me to be looking under the desk. All right, folks, we'll come back. That's Noelle Nickpour, columnist, Sun Sentinel, and the book Branding. I'm trying to find the camera, but they only want you on. Branding, they're smart. Branding America is her book, and we're going to continue with the final segment of the Thursday edition of the Steve Malzberg Show. Don't go away. I'm going to look now down at the shoes.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hey guys, do you know your testosterone level? You should. Each year, declining testosterone robs more of your energy, drive, motivation, and even your ability to perform in bed. Take control of your testosterone today. Write this number down, because Progene, the leader in dual-action testosterone supplements, is now giving you a free supply if you call today at 800-592-4834. If you'd like to feel closer to 20 than 40 and get back that energy, drive, and confidence, call now to try Progene risk-free. Don't believe us? We'll even prove it works. Ask about our at-home testosterone test kits and see for yourself what Progene can do for you. Be one of the next 100 callers. We'll triple your order and send you a full 1-month supply of Progene for free. A $70 value for only the cost of shipping and handling. Call 800-592-4834 for details. Know your level and kick your drive back into gear with Progene. Call 800-592-4834. That's 800-592-4834. Again, 800-592-4834.
Are payday loans ruining your life? If you have 2 or more payday loan cash advances, listen closely. You may be eligible for a program that payday loan companies don't want you to know about.
This program will get payday loan companies out of your bank account and put an end to the payday loan nightmare. Call for free information and find out if Payday Loan Support Center is right for you. Payday loan companies usually trap you into paying rates as high as 700%. We understand payday lenders' tactics. Don't let them take advantage of you anymore. All you need is 2 or more payday loans to qualify. We can help even if you're behind in collections or have bad credit.
Internet payday loans qualify for this program as well. So call 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. The call is free and the consultation is free. Don't miss out. Call for your free information on payday loan relief. 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. Again, 800-250-5084.
If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction to alcohol or drugs, then you must listen to this message, because there is hope. No matter what addiction you or your loved one is coping with, you are just one phone call away from real help. Recovery Hotline makes the healing process simple and affordable by matching people to fully certified and experienced inpatient facilities that are right for their personal situations. Call 800-668-1286 now. Don't wait another day. Money does not have to be an issue. Most insurance is accepted. Just call 800-668-1286 today. Recovery Hotline's mission is to help you or someone you love begin the healing process and get back a healthy and sober life. And we can even help with family interventions and travel arrangements. One phone call is all it takes to get back the life you or your loved one deserves. The call is free. The help is real. Call 800-668-1286. That's 800-668-1286. 800-668-1286. Again, 800-668-1286.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, and you may be forced to watch helplessly as you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, all while your home's value is eradicated. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer believes we will soon stare down a secret crisis that will rival the Great Depression. It was Wiedemer's 2005 book, America's Bubble Economy, that warned of coming meltdowns in our housing and stock markets. Washington did not heed his call, and folks on Main Street lost $50 trillion from the recession. His New York Times best-selling book, Aftershock, predicted our federal debt and dollar would be the next bubbles to burst. And now Robert Wiedemer has released a startling video with shocking evidence the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Join us at Aftershock2013.com. Aftershock2013.com.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect. With higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price.
Scroll down now to claim your copy of Obamacare Survival Guide for the special internet offer of only $4.95.
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream. Streaming. The most technology advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have some breaking news. It appears that Lois Lerner, the IRS official who took the fifth after she made an opening statement and many believe in effect waived her right to take the fifth, she has been placed on administrative leave. Lois Lerner, apparently, she has been placed on administrative leave. Yeah, again, you know, they let go the guy who was done in June anyway. Now they give her administrative leave. What does that mean? Is she still going to get paid? Now she may be called back, of course, by Darrell Issa to testify and answer questions because they say she gave up her right to the Fifth Amendment. So we're going to keep an eye on that. But Lois Lerner, according to CNN, I'm seeing right now, placed on administrative leave. You want to hear something embarrassing? A little embarrassing, a little funny. Here's Wolf Blitzer with a victim of the tornado in Oklahoma City, in Oklahoma. And he's talking to this woman. She saved herself and her baby. And here's how cut 15. This will be 15, Will. Here's how it sounded.
Anders is
Brian, Brian.
Yeah, Brian. You like Brian, huh? That's your dad. But we're happy you're here. You guys did a great job. Yeah. And I guess you got to thank the Lord, right? Yeah. Do you thank the Lord for that split-second decision?
I'm actually an atheist.
Oh, you are? All right. But you made the right call.
Yeah. We are here, and you know, I don't blame anybody for thanking the Lord.
Of course not.
So.
Of course not. First of all, I found it kind of weird that Wolf Blitzer is pressuring this woman. She's there with a little baby. She went to a certain room or something, and it wound up saving her life and the life of her baby. So I found it weird that Wolf Blitzer says, you got to thank the Lord, don't you? And she didn't answer, and he goes, you do, don't you? You do thank the Lord, don't you? Like, that's so out of character. The whole thing was weird. And then she said, well, actually, I'm an atheist. But you see, to me, she's the typical atheist. She said, I don't blame anybody who thanks the Lord. And Wolf says, of course not. Hey, Wolf, you ever interview the president of one of these atheist organizations? They wouldn't even let you say Lord on the air. They would want you to take it back. So, of course not. Who could ever blame you for saying thank the Lord? You want a list? But anyway, it was just so bizarre. She didn't answer him. You got to thank the Lord, right? And he's like, you do, right? You do thank the Lord. Like, it was just so out of character for Wolf Blitzer. Anyway, here's another one. Here's a brain surgeon, if ever there was one. This is Karen Finney on MSNBC talking about the IRS scandal. And she can't imagine why Republicans didn't bring this up during the presidential election. Why didn't Romney make a big deal of this? This is cut 27.
Whether or not there's anything that was wrongdoing or laws broken, it just doesn't look good. At the same time, though, this is a massive overreach. I mean, there's something about this that I find stunning, that we're talking about this now. Everybody knew about this investigation long before the election. So if they were that freaked out about it, why didn't Romney make more of a big deal of it during the election?
Well, the problem is, brain surgeon, nobody knew about it. We didn't know. The president didn't know about it before the election. This report, this review, this whole thing wasn't made public until recently. Remember, the president said he found out about it when everybody else found out about it? That was like this Friday. I think it'll be 2 Fridays ago, or yeah, 2 Fridays ago. It wasn't out. This wasn't, I mean, there were rumblings, inklings, all that kind of stuff, but we didn't have this report. We didn't know it was to this extent. We didn't have the facts when Romney was running. You don't think Romney would have brought it up? Why didn't Romney talk more about it? We knew about it then. No, we didn't. This was well after the election that this was all found out. But maybe I'm wrong. Now, I never got to the story about are men or women more likely to develop mental illness. And I'm not going to, I'd have to be crazy to get into that story now. Get it? But no, I'm not trying to make light of mental illness, but I'll get into it tomorrow. I promise. Here's the story. I will not relinquish it to the receptacle. Relinquish it to the receptacle, and I won't throw it out either. I promise you. So we'll get that tomorrow, along with everything else that's going on tomorrow, and it's all taking place. Newsmax.com to watch it, and XM Radio, America's Talk Channel 244 to listen on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.